Learn more at americares.org/sendusin.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBryan.com.
That's GotBryan.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. That get outside kind of weather lingers for the next couple of days. Pretty out there this afternoon. A high of 82 with low humidity under mostly sunny skies. Nice and cool tonight. We dip back into the upper 50s under mainly clear skies, and a nice one tomorrow. A high of 83, partly cloudy, and that low humidity lingers.
That Get Outside weather is brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones currently down 225 points at 40,665. Market update brought to you by the Good Feet Store. Ready to step into a healthy and active lifestyle? Come to the Good Feet Store and experience the difference. Discover how a simple step can lead to a life of pain-free possibilities.
O'Connell with 1 second, left wing three on the way, banks it in! He got it! I don't believe it!
Jeremy backs out, has Roberts on him, into the paint, rises up, big time!
Young throws, he's got Tommy, near side 2-1, touchdown Carolina!
To Ryan, catch and shoot three, right wing, he did it again! Ryan has 27! Anderson makes a save, and it's kept out by Martin! What a save! Martin just robbed Liquid!
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan on a Thursday. I'm Tim Donnelly. Graham Hill producing the show, sitting in for Dennis today. You have to be excited for so many reasons. Here's why. 1, 7 days from UNC and NC State getting their football season started.
Yep.
1 week. A week from now in the future, right? A week exactly. We'll be getting ready for a few Triangle ACC football games.
Talk to me.
The Panthers have totally redeemed themselves.
Let's go.
Just when I thought it was a lost cause and they were going to send their starters into the regular season completely and totally unprepared, maybe not that over the top, but I did think they were going to be allowing any wrinkles, any preseason jitters to be worked out when the stats mattered. Week 1 of the regular season, just when I thought it was a lost cause, the Panthers are playing their starters in week 3 of the preseason.
Keep pounding, baby.
Just when I thought Dave Canales was overthinking everything, he totally redeemed himself. Earlier this week, I think it was Tuesday, I took 12 minutes of the show, and I said I'm going to make one last plea for the Panthers to play Bryce Young and the offense, the starting offense, in the preseason. I said preseason game 3. I'm going to make one last plea, and then I dropped it. I said I won't talk about it anymore because I realized that I didn't think anything was going to change Dave Canales' way of thinking. 2 days later, he comes out and says the starters are going to play. It sounded like this at Dave Canales' press conference earlier today.
That's my hope. My hope is to get the starters out there early in the game, get them some exposure, and the importance of it to me is how valuable the night before prep is. Waking up in the morning, we have a 1 o'clock kick. We got a lot of those this year. Mm-hmm. So just the body readiness, the plan behind, this camp was to practice early so that we can have that readiness.
That's it. That's what I've been saying. Now you have to pack a full preseason's worth of learning and adjusting into one game and probably 2 series or less, right? Because you're not going to want your starters out there too much, but you want to find the holes, right? You want to find the holes, find the flaws. You want to put the boat in the water and look around to see if it sinks. That might be the best possible example, right? What I mean by that is, if you're building a boat, and I'm talking about you're not the most experienced, but you watch some YouTube videos, you went to Home Depot or Lowe's, you bought the supplies, and you're building a boat. The first time you put it in the water, you don't want to have 10 friends there ready to go out on a trip. You want to be able to take it to the water, put it in, feel around on the inside, see if any water's coming in, and then if there is, go, all right, cool, take it out. I know where I got to fix. And I'm not talking about the team getting in there and finding holes in the playbook or finding holes in where they need to be better as football players. That job is kind of done, right? It'd be very difficult for a player to change their technique at this point in the year, right? You change technique at the beginning of the offseason, work it all offseason, and you're ready for week 1. You don't change technique 10 days before the game and think you're going to be ready week 1. It's not that. It's the preseason learning of each other that you have to pack in now to preseason game 3. We're going to talk with, I talked with Mike Glennon earlier today, 10-year NFL veteran. You'll hear that conversation later on in the show. And one of the things he's going to tell you about when we air that conversation is how even like play callers in the quarterback's headset, right, because quarterbacks have the radios in their helmet, there's different styles, right? You'll hear it from him. Some talk a lot. Some talk very little. Some just call the plays. Some call a play and then try to say like, hey, make sure you see the safety, right? They give you that one-off. Some speak very quickly. Some speak very slowly. Some talk right up until the headset turns off because the radio in NFL quarterbacks' helmets turns off. It's an automatic. It's a league thing. Turns off when there's 15 seconds left on the play clock. Some talk right up until it turns off. Some call the play and they're gone. Who cares if there's 25 seconds left on the play clock? Bryce Young has to get used to that with Dave Canales. And if I had to guess, and I told Mike this, Dave Canales is probably chatty. He seems like somebody that would, give you a motivational quote like every third down. All right, we're going trips right, 60 check, Esco. Trips right, 60 check, Esco. You are enough, Bryce.
Go get me a first down.
Yeah. Hey, you're good enough. And doggone it, people like you. Like he's going to be that. A little exaggeration, but he's a very optimistic guy. What they have to do is find every wrinkle that might trip them up through their first regular season game and make sure you iron that out between preseason game 3 and game 1 of the regular season. That's all I've been asking for. Right? I've been pleading up until Tuesday when I said this is my last time. I've been pleading with them to put the starters in, not because I want them to show the whole offense. I'm not sitting here going, I want to see what Dave Canales is going to do on third downs. I'm not sitting here saying I need to see Bryce Young, work his way through 4 progressions in a read or sit in the pocket. No, actually, I've been saying the opposite, right? Call plays exclusively that the ball gets out of his hand fast to prevent injuries. Tell him, hey, if you break the pocket and it's not there, don't feel the need to run, throw it away. Right, I'm going to come to the sideline, or when you come to the sideline, I'll ask you, would you have run on that? Say yes. But let your starters get tackled a few times. Right? Knock that rust off. This is a better late than never situation. Would I have rather, if you're only going to play in one preseason game, would I have rather it been game 1 or 2? Yes. For the simple reason of then if you do have little boo-boos and ouchies, right, little tweak injuries, not major injuries, but little like stingers, you would just have more time between the preseason game and regular season game 1 to get better, right? If you have a small injury now, that'll eat into game week prep. So I would have rather it been 1 or 2. I still don't love that it's only preseason game 3, but better late than never, right? It's something. Now, what we have to do, and I'm going to remind you of this tomorrow, and hopefully I remember it and execute it when we talk about the game on Monday. We have to make sure that we don't overreact to the actual football, right? If Dave Canales wants to call the same play over and over and over again, I'm kind of fine with it. I'd like him to vary the plays just because I want everyone to get used to the changing of formations and changing of personnel and everything. But if it's bland as heck, if it is an unseasoned piece of offense, I'm fine with that because, obviously they were very reluctant to show anything. So if you're conservative, if you don't want to tip your hand at all, I'm okay. I will not, if you come in and Bryce Young has only thrown for 30 yards in preseason game 3 on 2 series, I'm not going to go 30 yards. Oh, my gosh, we're right back where we were. We're going to have to do our best not to do that.
I don't know if it's a matter of give me something to be excited about going into week 1, but also just give me some sort of improvement and let me know that this season is going to be different from last season for Bryce Young and what I'm calling a redemption year for him, but also this whole organization with Dave Canales and this coaching staff. Like, just give me something going into week 1 that I can say, all right, this identity of this team is different under Dave Canales.
I don't think you're going to get anything football-wise that way. I don't think you're going to walk away going like, oh, they're a smash-mouth team, or, oh, look at this, we're great in the deep passing game. You might get that in culture, though.
Yeah. No, I'm not expecting a shootout by any means.
You might walk away with hey, they were laughing on the sideline playing but locked in. You might walk away with, okay, they're going to try to be overly physical. You might walk away with like a message, even if it's not, oh, I'm so excited for the run game.
They're finishing plays, they're establishing the run, the receivers are breaking off.
Those are the things. Like, there's going to be pre-snap penalties. I'd almost guarantee it because that's what you're doing. That's why you're playing them in the preseason. But you might, just kind of a vibe. You might get something like that from what Dave Canales puts on the field for the Panthers. And he also said wants to get Andy Dalton out there. So with Bryce Young passing it off to Andy Dalton, we should just have a higher quality level of even if it's bland, just execution, right? Jack Plummer was at Louisville last year, undrafted rookie free agent. Jake Luton was signed like 2 days before he played in his first preseason game. Having your number 1 and number 2 quarterback, it should just look more crisp, even if the plays are boring. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Tim Donnelly here for Miller Lending. And, of course, that's my guy Gordon Miller as well. Everyone's waiting for rates to drop, right? That's just the when you look at the mortgage market, everyone's waiting for interest rates to drop. But in the meantime, make sure you're prepared for when those rates drop, right? You can do something. You don't just have to sit there and sit on your hands and wait or play on your phone like you're in a waiting room. Call up Miller Lending and let them explain to you how they execute their no closing cost loans. What that means is when rates drop, especially if you've locked in a rate in the last year or two that's much higher than you're hoping for, once they drop significantly, go ahead and use a no closing cost loan to get that rate locked in at a lower rate and then obviously lower your monthly payments. The way they do that is a special way that Gordon Miller's been doing since 1987 and Miller Lending has been doing since they arrived in the market. It allows you to not take money out of your pocket, right? None of those costs and fees that so many other mortgage kind of models make you pay, and instead you just get the lower rate. How awesome is that? Miller Lending can make it happen for you. Give them a call, 919-447-3377. That's 919-447-3377. Or you can visit them online at millerlending.com. That's millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, and MLS number 250-2146. We're going to take a break. When we come back, 99 questions about the college football season. We only have 2 more of these questions, so we're asking a doozy coming up next. Pack Therapy is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. It's Tim Donnelly from 99.9 The Fan alongside legendary Wolfpack play caller Mike Glennon.
Every episode of Pack Therapy is your chance to get dialed in with inside information on your team.
We'll set you up for every Wolfpack game all season long.
And we'll break down every contest, what went right and what could have worked better.
Plus, special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcasts or watch on YouTube.
We're Where'd y'all go last week?
Well, we've been watching our budget.
So no going out?
Oh yeah, we're going out, just hitting all the specials. First, we hit the House of Hops. That's Jerome's favorite spot. Big savings on Monday and Wednesdays. Mix and match craft beer and 25% off on to-go growlers. Oh, it's a great place to relax.
You know, the Mix has some good specials and they're across the street.
You have to check out their wine tastings once a month and their live music schedule, plus $5 draft beer on Thursdays. Then Saturday, it's salt and lime brunch, and Monday they have $5 margaritas.
Wait, what about Sharky's?
Oh, sweetie, you know Sharky's is special all the time.
So you're just going in a circle. House of Hops, Salt and Lime, the Mix, then Sharky's. House of Hops, Salt and Lime, the Mix, then Sharky's. Sounds like a vicious cycle.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a vicious cycle. More like a wonderful cycle.
Yeah, sounds like a cycle I need to be riding.
House of Hops, the Mix, Salt and Lime, and Sharky's. Definitely a cycle you should be riding. Hope to see you soon.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9313. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9313. That's 800-575-9313. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
If you're listening to this Gerber Life Guaranteed life insurance ad, there's a good chance that you're alive. And if you're not, well, this may not be of interest to you. Now, I know what you're thinking. Life insurance, I'm going to live forever. Death is what happens to other people. Well, for the sake of argument, let's assume you're wrong and that someday you won't be listening to the radio anymore. I know it's not easy to talk about, so I'll do the talking. If you're 50 plus and alive, or 50 to 75 in New York, you can apply for Gerber Life Guaranteed Life Insurance with guaranteed acceptance regardless of your health. And since this life insurance is guaranteed, you don't have to get a medical exam. In fact, you don't even have to fill out a health questionnaire. For a free quote, call 888-532-5016. Then, when you stop, if you stop listening to the radio, your family can use the insurance money to help cover your final expenses or anything else. Your kids already inherited your ears, allergies, and questionable singing voice. Don't make them inherit your final expense tab too. For a free personalized quote, call 888-532-5016 today.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It's time for our 3 o'clock keyword in our fan football flyaway. Sponsored by the fabulous Mandalay Bay Hotel, Atlantic Spas and Billiards, Buffalo Brothers, and Newcomb & Company. Graham, every single person in the Triangle, because this is just a local event, local giveaway. This is not a national one that we're just part of. Every single person in your age bracket in the Triangle should be trying to win these tickets. Do you know why?
I can't.
Well, you can't, obviously. But a mid-20s free trip to Vegas?
I mean, we just had to cancel my cousin's bachelor party in Vegas because it's, August 22nd, and we were planning on doing it 2 months away, and we realized, it's one of those trips that you just can't, it's not like going to Nashville. Hey, we're going to get in the car and just drive to Vegas.
I mean, if you could, you might. But the thing is, that's kind of the way. If you want to go to Vegas, usually there's, you got to save up, you got to plan, you got to get the group, you got to find things to do once you're there. You got to If you're in your mid-20s and you're not applying to this, you're crazy because the prize is a trip for two to Vegas. Imagine calling up your buddy. Hey, what are you doing this weekend in September? Nothing. Cool, we're going to Vegas. On me.
That's the goal.
We're going to hook you up with the flights, the room, some money for food, some opportunity to see Carolina and the Silver and Black play football. This is all happening in September. All you have to do is listen in to 99.9 The Fan weekdays, and we will give you a keyword each hour between noon and 6. So at the start of the Adam Gold Show all the way up till the end of this show. And if you text in that keyword before the end of the hour, that's an entry, and you can do that up to 6 times per weekday. Right now the keyword is Blitz. B-L-I-T-Z. Blitz. B-L-I-T-Z. Text it in to 919-860-5326. That's 919-860-5326. The keyword is Blitz. If you text that in before 4 o'clock, you will gain an entry into the Fan Football Flyaway, and then make sure you're listening once again in the 4 o'clock hour for another keyword, because this one expires at 4.
May the odds ever be in your favor.
Shout out to my fans of Hunger Games. With that being said, let's jump into 99 questions about the college football season. This journey is nearing its end. We was starting 99 days before the college football season. We vowed to ask a question to help us get ready for college football all the way up until opening kick on the college football season. That opening kick is in Ireland tomorrow between Saturday between Florida State and Georgia Tech. And that means we only have today and tomorrow for our final questions.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
No, smile because it's
and
over.
Smile because college football, it means college football is back now that 99 questions is over with.
Smile because it's over, because we finally got to where we were trying to go.
Who's cutting onions?
The question for today is, who will win the Heisman?
Ooh.
Who will win the Heisman Trophy? Who will be the best player in college football this year? I'll give you the background. Betting favorites as they stand right now, and this has actually shifted a few times during the offseason. Dylan Gabriel of Oregon, transfer quarterback out of Oklahoma. Prior to that, UCF. Carson Beck, Georgia, starting quarterback last season. Georgia's the national championship favorite. Quinn Ewers of Texas. Those are the 1, 2, and 3 betting favorites. If you want to take a background a little bit further, the favorite in the ACC, the highest betting favorite from the Atlantic Coast Conference, is Cam Ward, quarterback of the Miami Hurricanes. He is the 8th betting favorite. The triangle favorite, I'm calling it the highest, the best odds to win based on Vegas for anyone from the 3 schools in the triangle, is Grayson McCall, quarterback NC State. He has the 35th best odds. He's the 35th betting favorite overall. And I don't know if this counts, but Riley Leonard, the old quarterback from Duke, is the 17th betting favorite. So if he were still at Duke, although Notre Dame probably boosted a little bit, he may be ahead of Grayson McCall. Here's the crazy part, okay? And I'm gonna explain to you my thought process before giving you my pick.
It's all quarterbacks?
My pick is not a quarterback. That's a tease right there, right?
Everybody
just perked up. The last 5 winners are Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Devontae Smith, Joe Burrow. Those are the last 5 winners. You may look at those and go, oh, of course, they're all great. Well, yeah, now that they're in the NFL, they're making big money. They were first overall picks in a lot of cases. We can look at them that way. But before their Heisman year, Jaden Daniels, Devontae Smith, and Joe Burrow were not really on the radar for the Heisman.
No.
Right? They were in Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow's case, they were both starting quarterbacks at at LSU. Devontae Smith was a starting wide receiver for Alabama, but they were not like the hot pick, right? In many cases, they were just seen as like run-of-the-mill starters. Bryce Young and Caleb Williams, while more highly touted, were either starting for the first time or starting at a new school for the first time. Bryce Young was taken over from Mac Jones. Caleb Williams was transferring from Oklahoma to USC. So they weren't set up. It's like, I think a lot of people go to Carson Beck at Georgia and say that's got to be the obvious choice.
Yeah.
But I'm going, there really hasn't been a situation where there was like a returning expected Heisman candidate from the national championship favorite who went on to win. Most of the time, they come from somewhere you don't expect. Now, I want to be clear on this. I'm buying into the hype of the player, not the team he plays for. My pick is Travis Hunter, the wide receiver / defensive back from Colorado. I'm not bought in at all to the Colorado hype machine, okay? I do not think the way Deion runs a program with fear, hey, if you don't do exactly what I want, you're cut. right? We'll bring in a transfer around you. I don't like the way that he puts obviously his sons and Travis Hunter on some pedestal above the rest of the team. I don't know if they're going to be the best program, is what I'm saying. But I am fully bought in to Colorado and Deion Sanders featuring Travis Hunter at all costs. I think they are going to guarantee him, if he plays in all 12 games, he played in 9 last year, 1,200 yards receiving, and I think they are going to, obviously, he'll be playing every defensive snap. He might be a top 5 pick at corner. If he walks away with 1,200 yards receiving and 7 picks or 5 picks or just is known as a shutdown corner that no one wants to test, it's the Shohei thing where it's just like, well, you can't compare him to anyone else. And every time you try to, the response is just too easy, right? Oh, Carson Beck is great. Yeah, but this guy plays defense. Mike Trout is great. Yeah, but Shohei also pitches. It's really just because Colorado is willing to feature him on both sides of the ball and is going to force him into the spotlight, I don't see how you could craft, if he plays all 12 games, right? He only played 9 last year. The argument is going to be unbelievable.
I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say, you're absolutely right. They're going to do everything they can to make him the poster child of that program. The only thing is for Colorado, full picture, is can they stay relevant enough this college football season for him to stay in contention?
I think that if they're obviously bowl eligible, 7-8 wins, I think that's all it's going to take. For him to then, I mean, remember, LSU wasn't some kind of juggernaut last year, and Jaden Daniels won. I think more and more the voters are willing to look at the statistics and let the metrics make their decision over the best player on the best team. Travis Hunter, that's my pick. Do you have one? Do you want to throw a name out there? Anyone I haven't mentioned?
Nationally, no, but just locally, and kind of going back to what I just said, it's going to be hard for him to really stay in the run just because it feels like it's a quarterback-heavy favorites to win every season. But if North Carolina can do some things this year, I would like to see Omarion Hampton in there. I feel like he did enough last year as far as stats, numbers, touchdowns to put himself in the conversation. It's just Carolina fell off at the end, and that's what kind of hurt him.
I think he needs more touchdowns.
And he was playing behind Drake May, too.
For a running back to be in the mix, I think there has to be records at stake.
Yeah.
I think you have to – I mean, and the records are so outlandish. You look at some of the stuff like Barry Sanders did in college, like it's unreal. But maybe a touchdown record, some kind of record has to be on the line, I think, for a running back to win at this point in the college football evolution. Speaking of Omarion Hampton, I'm going to give you a way to win a pair of tickets to see Carolina take on NC Central on September 14th. The way to do that is to text UNC to 919-860-5326. If you text UNC to 919-860-5326, you'll be entered for a chance to win a pair of tickets to see Carolina take on NC Central on September 14th at Kenan Stadium. When we come back, I tell you how the numbers game live went last night. Some unbelievable stories. Some of the most impressive sports fans I've ever met. I met last night. I'll give you the story coming up next.
Atlantic Spas and Billiards, Buffalo Brothers, and Newcomb & Company want you to see football live in Las Vegas. It's our fan football flyaway. Listen weekdays through August 29th. We'll reveal keywords every hour from noon to 6. Text in the keywords to enter for chances to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas. We'll fly you to an amazing room at the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino, and we'll hook you up with seats for the Carolina-Las Vegas game. The fan football flyaway, only on 99.9 The Fan.
Viva Las Vegas. If Heineken Silver was a 60-second radio ad, it'd tell you all the stuff you need to know in only 30 seconds to keep things light and refreshing. Seriously, time me. Heineken Silver, a world-class light beer that's surprisingly crisp and refreshing, made with only premium quality ingredients and just 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories, all without compromising on taste. Heineken Silver, all the taste, no bitter endings. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly. Whew. 30 seconds. That's it. Done. Peace.
You know that feeling? That confident, swaggerific feeling that says, look at me, world, I know stuff.
Own that feeling with PlaySmart, a fun new go-to resource from the North Carolina Education Lottery. With PlaySmart, get to know the odds, learn tips, set limits and budgets, and make the most of your play. Awesome feeling, right? Right. Play smart, the way smart players play. Visit ncplaysmart.com. Must be 18 to play. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
You know it's going to be a good day when your biggest concern in the morning is collecting the crumbs falling from the McDonald's crispy chicken biscuit. Your only concern should be, has your day peaked too early?
Start your morning off on a high note when you save on a warm and buttery crispy chicken biscuit for just $2.50. Only at McDonald's.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Lenny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Make the most out of summer with great deals on a great selection of Ram light-duty and heavy-duty pickup trucks. And right now, during the Ram Make This the Summer event, get an exceptional deal on the 2024 Ram 1500, the most luxurious Ram 1500 ever. Or get a heavy-duty deal on the powerful Ram 2500 and Ram 3500, the most advanced Ram heavy-duty pickups ever. Make this the summer to remember with great deals on award-winning Ram trucks. See your local Ram dealer now during the Ram Make This the Summer event, based on standard and available features offered.
Homeowners, listen up. Loan Pronto now has mortgage rates that start with a 4. Hey, it's Dennis Cox for Loan Pronto. It's true. Mortgage rates have plummeted to lows we haven't seen in a long time. If your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner with a 4.99% APR. Whether you got your loan last week, last month, or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're in the process with another lender, stop now and call Loan Pronto. Ask about their zero-cost reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. On approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I don't say it enough, but our listeners are awesome. You guys are great. Thank you for listening, spending your afternoons with us. It's anytime you really think too long about it, you end up just very, very grateful. So thank you to all of you, including those of you that play the numbers game every day. The numbers game at 5:30 every single day here has become a staple of the show. We've been doing it for over a year. We're going to continue to work to make it better and better and better for you. But it's fun, right? It's a play on, just kind of sports fans sitting around naming sports athletes, right? Which anyone who's ever had a good group of buddies knows that can last for hours. And the numbers game is a way to turn it into a competition, which I think is perfect. So last night we kind of had a celebration of the numbers game. We called it Numbers Game Live. It was at the Hilton Raleigh in North Hills, which is a great location. The event was perfectly kind of staged. We had a really cool venue. They had the stage, the chairs, there was food, there were drinks, tables, whole deal. Thank you as well to On-Site Audiovisual because they were there running the technology behind everything to make sure we could get on YouTube. And shout out to Sharky's Place, who is the presenting sponsor. And then here's why I say our listeners are awesome. If you don't listen at 5:30, maybe listen, the first hour every day. I'll break it down for you quickly. The numbers game is a timed event where I give you the contestant a team and a player, and you have to give me their jersey number. right? So we might go Bryce Young, Carolina Panthers. The correct answer would be 9, and it would as quick as you can. We try to you have 5 when we do it on the air here. It's 30 seconds to get 5. We had rounds of 1 minute to get 10. We had rounds of best 2 out of 3. We had a whole setup because last night we did Numbers Game Live where we brought all the best Numbers Game contestants, everyone that's gotten a perfect score over the last year, and there's not many of them, and we put them into a big competition, and we kept working down round by round and then eventually into a bracket until there was just one standing. I don't know if I've ever been more impressed by sports trivia knowledge in my life. The Final Four was crazy. It was Preston versus Casey, and it was Nas versus Dave, I believe. And, I mean, Preston versus Casey went perfect score for perfect score, I think 5 times, which means in the last year, we've had perfect scores, I don't know, about 15, 18 times, and we play it every single day. They went perfect score for perfect score, back and forth for 5 straight. And we eventually it had to come down to time. Who did it faster? Because they were so good. On the other side, Nas versus Dave, I believe the hardest category was NHL. Not because there aren't big NHL fans out there, but because there's a lot more players going in. There's a lot more difficult names to pronounce, and you don't really need the game moves so fast. A lot of times it's hard to see their jersey numbers, and you kind of get used to just learning by the way they skate or their size or their build or something they do that makes you identify who it is. I don't know if I've been more surprised than when Nas, one of the contestants, casually ran off a perfect score in NHL multiple times. I'm talking like, and they weren't, trust me, they weren't like Andrei Svechnikov the whole time. 37. It was deep cuts. It was players from today, players from that have retired, and he went 10 for 10, like bink, 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 bink. It was unbelievable. I like to think I'm about as big of a sports nerd as they're out there. My job is sports. When I'm at home, I'm watching sports. When I'm texting my friends, it's about sports. I'm in 5, 6 fantasy leagues. Like, I am a diehard. I don't think I make the Final Four. And if you would have asked me last night before the event, I probably would have said, no, if I were in it, I'd probably win it. About halfway through last night, I went, nope, never mind. I'm not sure I'm in the top half of the guys here. Shout out to Micah, just as one of the funny storylines. One of the contestants, Micah, big NHL fan, ironically, just telling you about how hard the NHL is, and was there to play the NHL, but the way the categories worked out, you had to do like NFL first, and it's just the way that it was all kind of structured. NHL didn't come until after so the NHL became a category you could choose the round after Micah was eliminated. But do you know what Micah did? And I'll never, I'll respect him forever for it. Micah went up there and basically said, "I don't know NFL," but he wasn't just going to throw the towel in. He said, "Give me NFL." Picked we had them all labeled in envelopes. Picked one, so it was all random, and he just fired. Right? I'd say Reggie White, Philadelphia. He'd go 12. I'd say Jay Cutler, Chicago, 57. And he just quickly went boom, boom, boom. Over a minute, ended up getting 4 correct. Just complete shots in the dark, ended up getting 4. Forced himself into an overtime just on sheer force of will. Never got to do the NHL that he was there to kind of lock in, but it was a valiant effort in defeat.
Hey, that's the beauty when you play the numbers game, is that even if you don't know it, you just got to start firing off numbers.
And you could tell, like sometimes okay, they know it's a wide receiver because they're going 87, 84, 81. He was, Peyton Manning, Indianapolis, the 97. Like it was just out there.
Okay, I mean, yeah.
But he got 4 right off of sheer force of luck and will. Seeing everybody there, I think it was Steve, one of the contestants, brought like his kids. They were decked out in all the Philly gear. He had his kids had like a Jalen Hurts and a Saquon Barkley jersey, and every chance he got at the microphone, he was making quips against the Cowboys and everything. So He got a good dose of fandom. Nas, who made it to the finals against Preston, which was crazy. Preston versus Nas, like had me questioning my own memory. I was sitting there going, did they have photographic memories? Did they have some superpower that I don't have to be able to do this? That's how good they were. But when Nas realized he lost, right, it was Preston had a perfect score. Nas got a couple wrong. He just answered the number 69 about 500 times as we just played out the last 30 seconds.
Fair.
So it was, going down with, I guess, a blaze of glory or a blaze of memories, I guess would be the way to put it out there. Right before the finals, we had Mike Glennon come on the show, and we gave him 10 of his NC State teammates, which were not, I wouldn't say that they weren't all like all ACC picks. We threw some toughies in there, threw a punter in there, backup fullback in there. We threw a bunch of names at him. He ended up getting them all. Not all first try, but he did end up getting a perfect score. It was just a good night. It was one of those nights that reminds us here at the station. Oh, and by the way, thank you to not only Sharky's Place for presenting, but everybody behind the scenes. I kind of get to do the fun part of these events where I just get to be up there a host and play out my game show dreams. But Paul Ihander, our program director, Bree from promotions, Rylan from I don't know why I started naming people because now I'm gonna leave people out. Ashley from social media, Will from our engineering, Dennis obviously was up there working with me. There were so many people behind the scenes that did a ton of work, which let us have the fun. So thank you to everybody out there, and most importantly, thank you to the listeners. Right, when you throw an event like that, when you do something like the numbers game, you're not sure if everybody's gonna embrace it. Right, or go, that's stupid. But now we know people like it, and we can keep working on ways to make it better.
Speaking of living out your game show host dreams, did you remind audience members and people watching on YouTube that have their pets spayed or neutered?
I didn't. At the end, I was so excited to give. We had a championship trophy, championship chain. We had like a whole deal presentation. I was so excited to get to that with Preston, our winner, that I forgot to do my Bob Barker. But at one point, I did reference.
Did you have a skinny microphone?
I did, actually. It was on the podium, though. But I did reference Jeff Probst. I referenced Family Feud when I was up there. I could not help but reference great game shows. So thank you to everybody. Wanted to get that out there. Just basically grateful. Congratulations to Preston. And let everybody know next year's event starts today at 5:30, right? If you call in and get a perfect score, you'll be invited to next year's event where you can participate. And just know, better bring your A game because the trivia experts out there are bananas. All right, let's move back to the show. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Panthers made a trade not long ago, this afternoon. Should I just let that sit, let everybody wonder who'd they trade for, who'd they trade away? Not the biggest trade in the world. Let me get that out of the way. Michael Barrett, their 7th-round pick, they traded to Seattle for cornerback Michael Jackson. That is his name, Michael Jackson.
And are you okay?
No, I don't believe there's any relation to the pop singer. This is a great move. This is a great move. Is it monumental? Is it expectation changing for the Panthers where now we get to go, all right, now you're a contender? No, it's not that. But you have to find a way to maximize every situation. That's what I've been telling you about the Panthers since the moment Dan Morgan and Dave Canales takes over. They are behind everybody. They were the worst team in football last year. So you have to find every single chance to get 1% of 1% better. You have to. You can't overlook anything. Michael Barrett is a 7th rounder. He was by the way, a Michigan captain last year, so national championship team's captain, 7th-round linebacker. They grabbed him. Some were speculating he wasn't even going to make the team. The Athletic did a 53-man roster prediction. Michael Barrett was a cut. So if you're going to cut a guy next week, Tuesday, and you can find a way to get value for him this week, that's gold, right? He was going to be worthless to you on Tuesday. You're going to put him on waivers, and anyone could claim him, and obviously Seattle would have claimed him if they're willing to give up a corner for him. So you would have lost him for nothing. Instead, you get Michael Jackson, the cornerback. He is a 6'1" corner, 21 starts in the last 2 years. This is not a guy this is not like swapping a problem for a problem, right? This is not, hey, we don't like Michael Barrett. Do you not like Michael Jackson? Let's swap. It was, hey, We don't have a need for Michael Barrett. Michael Jackson is someone we'd be interested in. Let's make it happen. This is basically what happened. With a middleman, right, a move in the middle, they drafted a 27-year-old with starting experience at a position of need in the 7th round. I'll take that every time, especially because corner has become a bigger need in the last few weeks. You have J.C. Horn on one side. You had Dane Jackson on the other side. He's hurt, expected to be back like week 3-ish. So now you're going to have to start the season. You don't have your expected starting cornerback. You're able to swap a guy that you probably were going to cut next week, according to The Athletic, and you get to replace him with a corner that has started 21 games in the last 2 years. Oh, and by the way, I right before the show, I listened to a mic'd up of Michael Jackson from his time in Seattle. He brings a little bit of that edge that might make him what Dan Morgan would call a dog, right? You try to hit him, he'll let you know you're too little. Those types of things. Only more demonstrative. It doesn't sound intimidating coming from me. It was more intimidating coming from him.
High energy, some experience in the league already.
Aggressive, taller corner, which means he's going to get his hands on you. He can run with Drake London. There was a highlight where he broke up a pass on a deep ball to Drake London in the end zone, which is good if you're in the Falcons division. It's a solid, low risk, you found value where you might have had none move by Dan Morgan and Dave Canales. And there's additional kind of nuance here, right? One of the things being the Seattle connection. Michael Jackson.
God, I didn't even think about that.
Michael Jackson started 17 games the year before last for the Seattle Seahawks. That's every game. Guess who was on the Seattle Seahawks staff the year before last? Dave Canales. Dan Morgan obviously spent a lot of time in Carolina, wasn't there most recently, but knows some people over there. I don't want to make it seem like actually, here, let me explain it this way. I don't want them making big deals with friends. We saw how that goes in the Brian Burns deal, right? Because Joe Shane and Dan Morgan are such good buddies. I think Joe Shane took him for a ride on that one. So the big deals, I don't want doing them making those deals with guys that know everything about them. I know you like this. I know you don't like that. I know you jump at this. Like I don't want that information on a Brian Burns deal. But I don't mind the small trades like this having a little bit of a relationship there, right? Oh, by the way, there are coaches on the Seattle staff that were on Michigan staff last year. So now it's like, hey, your guy, Michael Barrett, right? You're using some information to get them on the hook, and then bringing a corner back in the other direction is a solid play. So there's a lot that goes into this trade that might be seemingly insignificant. Oh, great, we got another corner. Throw him in the pile with Shao Smith-Wade and Deshaun Jameson and Lamar Jackson's gone, but he's back on IR. Throw him in the pile with these other guys. Great. So excited. Troy Hill, fantastic. But then there's another part that goes, well, no, actually, this is a guy that's proven he can start NFL games, and he's and he can at least keep the car on the road. Also, he played very well against the Panthers last year. 6 tackles in that game out in Seattle that Andy Dalton started. And again, he brings special teams ability as well. So even if he doesn't end up contributing as a corner, he has a lot of special teams experience, which can't have too much of that.
I just appreciate the fact that Dave Canales and Dan Morgan, rather than talking about it, they're trying to be about it as far as what they want this team's identity to look like on defense.
Bringing in a dog.
Physical player, a guy that can go and get the football for you by causing a turnover, and then, like you said, has that dog in him.
Dog. Oh. What breed of dog was that?
That's a hound, maybe.
So anyway, we'll come back to that trade, but first, I'm just too excited for college football. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. 7 days from now, 7 days, the University of North Carolina Tar Heels will be in Minnesota getting ready to open their season against the Golden Gophers.
Virginia Tech of the North.
We do not know who their quarterback is going to be as a starter, but we know that whoever that quarterback will be out there 1 week from now getting ready to play Minnesota. So I thought with the last few minutes here of the hour, we would hit the 7 most important people to the Carolina Tar Heels football season. 7 days, 7 most important people. Starting with number 7, Bryson Nesbitt, tight end. He was my vote, just to put it all on Front Street. He was my vote in the media poll for the ACC to be an all-ACC tight end. Now, he didn't end up winning. It went to Arondé Gadsden of Syracuse, but Bryson Nesbitt was the all-ACC performer last year, and like the actual all-ACC, not preseason. And I think he gets it again this year. Tight end is a cheat code for a new quarterback. Right? If it's somebody that doesn't know the offense as well as they'd like a transfer like Max Johnson, or if it's somebody making just their second career start like Connor Harrell, I think it would be quite beneficial of them if they look to the 6'5" guy over the middle with a wide catch radius to bail them out. Number 6 in the most important people list for UNC this football season, Jeff Collins, defensive coordinator. Have to get the defense to step up. The offense has been good the last 5 years, right? Part of that is because you've had Sam Howell and Drake May. But either way, the last 5 years, the offense has been good. The defense has to catch up.
Yeah, speaking of a football team that needs to have a new identity on defense,
you need to get to the quarterback more. You need to get your hands on the ball more by way of turnovers.
Create more turnovers,
You just need more. When you bring in a new defensive coordinator like Jeff Collins, that falls on him. Number 5, one of the guys Jeff Collins is going to be directing, Power Eccles. Time to be a star. Time to be a star. Cedric Gray is gone when it comes to everyone beyond the defensive line. Time for you to be a star. Power Eccles has highlight plays. Go watch his highlight film from last year. Dude has a knack for getting his hands on the ball and for making big plays. Now it needs to be every game, every deal, big play, small play, needs to make them all.
Not trying to take anything away from what Cedric Gray accomplished last year with the Tar Heels, but it just feels like North Carolina the past 2 seasons, their star players have all been on the offensive side of the ball. I feel like it's now time for North Carolina to have an identity on defense and Power Eccles be the leader of that identity.
Also with a name like Power?
I mean, yeah, it just writes itself for the marketing.
It's like if you're remaking the Little Giants or something, the big bad guy on the other team would be Power Eccles.
How does he not have an NIL deal with like a power company or something?
He might. Who knows? Duracell, something like that?
Yeah.
Energizer? Number 4, most important people for UNC's football season. I'm throwing Howard Sampson in here. And Howard Sampson, I believe, well, again, we're not getting a depth chart from UNC, so you got to do some inferring. I think he's going to be the brand new left tackle. He is a transfer from North Texas, listed at 6 feet 8 inches tall, 325 pounds. That's a big boy. If DJ Burns were still at NC State, I think they would be asking Howard Sampson to go be scout team the week before playing against NC State. He's 6'8", 325, but he's stepping into a left tackle role that's going to be protecting either a young new quarterback or a new transfer quarterback. The young new quarterback on the move, right? 4.40 for Connor Harrell. Max Johnson likes to camp out in the pocket a little bit. Either way, you need a stud left tackle. And then on top of that, you're going to want to have the best blocking you possibly can in front of Omari and Hampton. And, 6'8", 325 sounds like somebody that might be able to open a, road grade a little bit in the run blocking. So I'm throwing him in there. Number 3 for the 7 most important people for UNC football 7 days ahead of their football season. Chip Lindsey, offensive coordinator. Whoever's the quarterback is going to need Lindsey's help, right? Recognizing when they're in the groove and you can keep, trusting them with more and more, recognizing them when they're rattled and they need to get a play that's a gimme. Recognizing when they need a completion, recognizing when they need to hand it off to Omari and Hampton 3 straight times. You have to be a therapist, a best friend, a coach, a guru, a everything. Number 2, most important person for UNC in our list of 7 most important people, 7 days ahead of kickoff. They play Minnesota next Thursday. Kamen Rucker. There's a stat. This I have to hat tip to David Hale, ESPN. Against, I believe it was Jalen Rivers of Miami. Of 54 pass blocking snaps against UNC last season, Jalen Rivers allowed 5 pressures, including 2 sacks, all to Kamen Rucker. Right? So one game, 5 pressures, 2 sacks, all to Kamen Rucker. In the 402 other pass blocking snaps that Jalen Rivers had the rest of the season, he allowed just 6 more pressures and did not allow a single sack. So on the season, this left tackle, or this tackle, Jalen Rivers, on the full season, allowed 11 pressures and 2 sacks. 5 of the pressures and all of the sacks were Kamen Rucker. I need that kind of performance from him day in and day out.
Well, I think Carolina's defense, just in full picture, needs that kind of performance from him week in and week out.
If he plays at the top of his ability, it opens up new things for their defense. It makes Power Echols' job easier. It makes Jeff Collins' jobs easier. It makes the other defensive line's jobs easier. It makes everyone's job easier. And number one, for the most important people, UNC this season, I don't think I'm breaking any news here, Omarion Hampton needs to keep the production up, even though Drake May isn't there with him, right? There's going to be more stacking of the box. There's going to be more attention paid on the running game. He has to keep the production where it was last year, if not improving, regardless of the hand dealt in front of him.
I mean, is it fair to say, no pun intended, is it fair to say the offense is going to run through Omarion Hampton this year?
Yeah,
as far as
absolutely.
Carolina being able to establish the run game through him and then allowing the passing game to open up with whoever's behind center or under center.
200%. I am undoubtedly positive it's going to run through. And at times, even last year with Drake May, it ran through Omarion Hampton. So it darn sure will with whoever's under center for him this year. That is the countdown of 7 most important people for UNC football ahead of their game 7 days from now. When we come back, we have football at 4 and the next keyword in our fan football flyaway that could be worth a trip for 2 to Las Vegas for you if you pay attention. Stick around.
College football is back. Join 99.9 The Fan for an all-day Saturday triple header.
He's gone. There he goes. Through the line. He'll take it to the house, 90 yards.
Florida State and Georgia Tech at noon. Montana State and New Mexico at 4. And SMU and Nevada at 8. College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford, Amedios, and Roofworks.
How was everyone's first day at the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club?
Oh, me? I set the high score in mini golf.
I tried a new food called wasabi.
Oh, I did absolutely nothing. It was amazing.
There's no wrong way to be a winner. New $50,000 payout and $1 million cash word are here. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.54 to 3.58. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Drive into summer with the Honda CR-V and Accord. Your fun-to-drive, weekend getaway vehicles. From Honda, the 2024 Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com Best Value brand. So hurry in to the Honda Summer Event. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 2.9% APR on a 2025 CR-V or 2024 Accord.
Contact your local Carolina Honda dealer for a great deal today.
See dealer for financing details based on 2024 Consumer Choice Awards from Kelley Blue Book. Visit kbb.com for more information.
Navy Federal Credit Union is back with more eligibility. Now you can hear all your favorites like, my brother's a veteran, I get amazing rates. My mom served, I get 24/7 member support. Grandpa was a soldier and now I'm a member. And who could forget, thanks to my father who served in the military, I'm now eligible for incredible member benefits. Call 1-855-800-2102 or visit NavyFederal.org today. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
A few contest rules from sports radio stations The Fan, The Buzz. No purchase necessary. 21 to enter and play. Limited to 1 entry per person and 1 prize winner per family or household per contest every 30 days. Employees of Capital Broadcasting, its agencies, sponsors, subsidiaries, other broadcast companies, and immediate families of the above are ineligible to play. Winners are verified, complete documentation, and are responsible for all taxes and prizes received. All prizes are non-transferable and cannot be redeemed for cash. Winners give sports radio the right to publicize his or her name, likeness, or voice. Sports may change contest rules and prizes at any time and holds no liability for canceled or postponed events. Complete info of sports radio contests available at WRALSportsFan.com or during normal business hours at 3100 Highwoods Boulevard in Raleigh.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces his way into the end zone. Touchdown!
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Gorgeous afternoon out there. The humidity remains low. Temperatures are very comfortable. A high of 82 under mostly sunny skies. Nice and cool tonight. We drop back to 59 with clear skies. And tomorrow we'll see a high of 83 under partly cloudy skies. Gradually this weekend and into early next week, we begin to heat up a bit and the humidity returns.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones down 203 points at 40,687. Market update brought to you by the Good Feet Store. Ready to step into a healthy and active lifestyle? Come to the Good Feet Store and experience the difference. Discover how a simple step can lead to a life of pain-free possibilities.
Let's move the chains. Time for football at 4.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Football at 4. But first, it's time for our 4 o'clock keyword in the Fan Football Flyaway, sponsored by the fabulous Mandalay Bay Hotel, Atlantic Spas and Billiards, Buffalo Brothers, and Newcomb & Company. This hour's word is field, F-I-E-L-D. Text FIELD to 919-860-5326 and enter for your chance to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas, where you can see Carolina play football against the Silver and Black. We'll hook you up with the room, the flight, all of it. All you have to do, and it's such a small ask, is text FIELD, F-I-E-L-D, to 919-860-5326 before 5 o'clock. You have 59 minutes to get it in before the keyword expires, and we will have another keyword coming up in the 6 o'clock hour. It's funny, whenever I have to give away a keyword like that, and we're giving away a bunch of them like every hour for a long time, I worry about pronunciation so much. I talk nonstop, and I trust everybody to understand what I can say. Like, that is my job. And then as soon as I'm like, field, because I don't want anyone texting in like F-E-E-L. He said feel. So I'm like, no, field.
Or Phil, F-I-L-L.
Yeah. F-I-E-L-D.
Now I'm afraid
keyword.
we're just confusing people that are listening.
I'm
What's
doing
the keyword again?
I'm doing this intentionally. The keyword is field, like a football field.
There you go.
F-I-E-L-D. Text it into 919-860-5326. And just know I am doing everything possible to make sure there is no reason that you don't get as many entries to win a trip for 2 to Vegas as humanly possible. I'm going out of my way to make sure you don't accidentally text in the wrong word. Field. I'll go full spelling bee on you. Scripps National Spelling Bee. I'll use it in a sentence. I'll find the language of origin. I won't actually because I don't know the language of origin, but you play football on a football field. Used it in a sentence for
you. There you go.
Field. 919-860-5326. Text it in now. Now let's jump into football at 4. Could call it the football field at 4 for today.
I was getting ready to say.
Football at 4. The Panthers think the next step for left tackle, Ickey Ekwonu, is consistency. Ickey Ekwonu is one of the most nitpicked and scrutinized players on the entire Panthers roster. The name I hear most when people try to justify Bryce Young's slow start last year to his career is Ickey Ekwonu. Well, he had Ickey Ekwonu not blocking anybody. Ickey Ekwonu getting him killed. Ickey Ekwonu, Ickey Ekwonu, Ickey. Panthers offensive line coach Joe Gilbert thinks this is the next step for Ickey Ekwonu. Here he is.
Ickey is obviously all his consistency, and he's a guy that wants it. He works hard, and that's the biggest thing for me that I've been working with him is just trying to be more consistent on a daily basis. He's fun to work with. He's got a great personality and that part of it, but it's the everyday of just being consistent and telling him, hey, the great ones do the same thing over and over again, and they get really good at it, and I think that he's starting to buy in. Honestly, today, and I haven't watched the tape yet, but really kind of saw him for the first time kind of slow down and really kind of try to take that home a little bit, which has been a progress through camp. But I think he's getting there, Are we there yet? No, but I think he's getting there for sure.
Consistency. I love a good analogy, right? Matter of fact, somebody at the event last night said it's an inside joke with him and one of his buddies that I guess he's in the car with a lot around this time, that when I give an analogy, they rate it out of 10. So if I do like Seth Jarvis's signing is like a shark attack, they listen to it, then they look at each other and go like 7.5 out of 10. They rank the analogies. So I've got another one coming your way. All right, get ready to rank them if you're listening. Telling an offensive lineman that they need to work on their consistency is kind of like telling a chef they need to work on cooking good food. Like, that is the entirety of the job. Offensive line is consistency. That's like telling an offensive lineman the next step is being a good offensive lineman. Like, that's the game. That's it. That's the whole thing. Yeah, the next step for our pitcher in being a great pitcher is he needs to start pitching better. That's basically what you said. Last year, the Panthers ran roughly 67 offensive snaps per game. Okay? 67 offensive snaps per game. If you say that's 30 passing attempts, we'll call it 30 passing attempts. If Ickey allows a sack on just one of those per game, he has allowed... Actually, I think it's 1.5. If he allows 1.5 sacks per game, he has allowed more sacks than the Bills did as an entire team last year. 2% of snaps. If you have 2% of snaps where you have a brain freeze, where you're not consistent, and you give up a sack or a rush or a hurry, you are the worst tackle in the business. Offensive line is about you can't be good most of the time. You can't even be good nearly all of the time. You have to be good all the time. That's the sport. Wide receivers, I'll use another analogy. This is before your time, Graham.
All right.
The early seasons of American Idol. My mom is a big American Idol fan. Still watches to this day. Around that time. Yeah, around that time.
Second season, Ruben Studdard.
Yep, that's Clay and Ruben were second. I think it was probably maybe season 3, maybe. There was a singer by the name of Anwar. Okay, Anwar Robinson, I think was his name. This is off the top, right? So, if I'm missing the name a little bit, hear me out. Anwar was my pick, right? Every year, because the family, my mom liked to watch it, we would watch all of the auditions. Then when we got to, I think, top 24, you would pick like whoever you want, and Anwar was my guy. Anwar had the best strategy ever. He could hit the big note. He would sing mediocre for 2 minutes. Then that final note would last 18 seconds. It would be way higher than anyone else could go. And the judges would only remember that last 18 seconds, and they'd give him glowing remarks. And he made it, I don't know, like to the top 6.
They'd only remember the final lyric to Somebody to Love by Queen.
It's just, I'm not even going to try because I can't sing. But he would just save it with like one good note. Wide receivers can do that, right? Wide receivers could have 10 bad routes. They could have 10 times tapping their head to go to the sideline because they're tired. They could have 10 times the quarterback misses them, bad throws. But if they have one touchdown catch every game, they're a Pro Bowler, right? One great play by a wide receiver every game, Pro Bowler.
I mean, think about how many people still geek out over the Odell Beckham one-handed catch from how many years ago.
If you make 2 great plays a game, you'd be out there all 67 plays. If you make 2 great plays a game as a wide receiver, one of them's a touchdown, one of them's a 35-yarder. If the touchdown's another 30 yards, you have well over 1,000 yards. You have 17 touchdowns. You're all pro. Offensive line is the exact opposite. You make one great block, that means nothing. You can make 20 great blocks. You could have 20 pancake blocks. If you give up 3 sacks, you're the worst tackle in the league. So it blows my mind for them to look at Ickey Ekwonu and say the next step is consistency. That's the only step. If you don't have consistency, get off the field.
I was going to say, isn't that why you go up against the standalone practice dummy every day in practice, or you go against the offensive line or the lineman coach that's holding the pad for you to go up against?
Yeah, it's the reason you do anything. The reason you work out in the offseason as an offensive lineman is to be consistent. The reason you study film is to be consistent. By the way, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could play offensive line. You get none of the star treatment. You get none of the accolades. You get none of the protections, right? Quarterbacks you can't touch. Wide receivers you can't hit. Running backs get to score all the touchdowns. Like everybody else gets everything. You have a job that is thankless, and you can't make anything wrong.
Yeah, when you get 3 pancakes in a game, I mean, that's not a key highlight. That's just you doing your job as an offensive lineman.
And if the funny part is, if 67 offensive plays, if you have 65 pancakes, and those 2 plays go poorly, that's a terrible game.
Right.
Even though, your percentage, right? Like, imagine a shooter in basketball. If you make 60 out of 62, the 2 are all anyone remembers. That's the life of an offensive lineman. Now, I'm not saying it's a fun life. Obviously, they're well compensated. I'm not saying it's the right way it should be. But to turn around and be like, the next step for this guy is consistency. It's like, all right, so you're saying he physically can block people occasionally.
I mean, one of the reasons why I love college or football in general is I love those 3rd-and-1 plays where they're not going to try to do anything special in the offense. They're not going to try to go for a little slant pass. It's just going to be your running back line up in the I formation. Our guys are better than your guys. We're going to go out there and make the tackle or make the block.
I mean, that's the fun part for the offensive line. Actually, there's a good move right there, right? The fun part for the offensive line is
when
just
it's like 3rd and goal,
run blocking, and everybody knows it's a run. Every other time, you got to just do your job, and it doesn't always have to be the cleanest, right? Sometimes the best thing an offensive lineman can do is get run over slowly, and sometimes that's enough to do your job. But every single play, you have to do your job. Can't turn around and say, I need to work on my consistency. That's not how it works. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I saw our very own Dennis Cox sneak into the producer studio. Dennis, what do you have for us?
Hey, Dennis Cox, just want to pop in here. I hope I had a fun time last night. I'm sure you did too, Tim, right?
Had a ton of fun.
Great time last night.
Yeah.
I also want to let everyone know, Dennis Cox here with my friends over at Loan Pronto. Great news for you homeowners out there. Mortgage rates are tanking. My friends at Loan Pronto have rates that start with a 4. This is the best rate in year, folks. Best rate in years, I should say. Now listen, if your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto has locked in folks recently at 4.99% APR. Whether you got your loan last week, last month, even last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're already in process with another lender, stop now. Call Loan Pronto. Ask about their zero-cost rate reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 919-381-1760 or visit loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. On approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have cons and cons coming up next. What are you most confident? What are you most concerned about for the Carolina Panthers heading into preseason Game 3? It's coming up next.
Atlantic Spas and Billiards, Buffalo Brothers, and Newcomb and Company want you to see football live in Las Vegas. It's our Fan Football Flyaway. Listen weekdays through August 29th. We'll reveal keywords every hour from noon to 6. Text in the keywords to enter for chances to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas. We'll fly you to an amazing room at the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino, and we'll hook you up with seats for the Carolina-Las Vegas game. The Fan Football Flyaway, only on 99.9 The Fan.
Viva Las Vegas.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What? You expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Lowe's knows Labor Day calls for big savings. Right now, get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, save up to $750 when you buy 2 or more select major appliances priced $396 or more. And don't miss out on 3 bags of premium 2 cubic foot color mulch for just $10. Shop these can't-miss deals before they're gone, because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 9/4 while supplies last. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Are you ready to rule the realm? With the new Game of Thrones scratch-off from the North Carolina Education Lottery, you can. This epic game gives you the chance to win up to $200,000 instantly, or a trip to beautiful Napa Valley to play the Seven Kingdoms experience, where you could take home your share of up to $7 million in cash prizes. So treat yourself like royalty. Play the Game of Thrones scratch-off today, and let your reign begin. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds are 1 in 4.31. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Confidence and concerns. What are you most confident in? What are you most concerned about when it comes to the Carolina Panthers? This one's actually a kind of a fascinating one for me. I'll explain to you why. As always, when somebody says I have good news and bad news, which do you want? You always pick bad news, so we start with concerns. My concern, I wrote this up during prep this morning, right? Prepping this morning, figuring things wouldn't change between then and the show. But they did. So I had to, this afternoon after the trade for Michael Jackson, the corner, if you are just tuning in now, earlier today, the Panthers traded their 7th-round pick from this past year, which is Michael Barrett, 7th-round linebacker out of Michigan. So in this most recent draft, their 7th-rounder, and they traded him to the Seattle Seahawks for the cornerback Michael Jackson. I'm not changing my concern. My concern is the corner opposite J.C. Horn. Whether it's Deshaun Jameson, DiCaprio Bootle, Shao Smith-Wade, Chris Wilcox, who they just signed, or Michael Jackson. Whoever that corner is opposite of J.C. Horn, I'm concerned about. It's not the best group. And I'll add Michael Jackson in there. Michael Jackson brings a certain amount of starting experience, and obviously Seattle values their long-armed, tall secondary. but you can't change who they are, right? And this is what I mean by that. I like the way the group reacted to Dane Jackson's injury. Dane Jackson was expected to be the starter opposite of J.C. Horn. He's hurt. He'll be back week 3, week 4-ish, hopefully on the shorter end of that level, but maybe longer, right? They don't know. When Dane Jackson went down, it does feel like all of the corners started playing a level better. They stepped up, which I like. But you can't turn a journeyman into an all-pro just by saying, we need you now. That's not what you're looking at. Now, the side notes of that are, obviously, they went and got a guy that they're more confident in, Michael Jackson, so it's better. But also, don't forget, Seattle moved on from Michael Jackson. So, right, they're not necessarily, thinking he's going to develop into an all-pro. So I'm still concerned about the cornerback position opposite of J.C. Horn. That's what I'm getting after. What are you concerned about?
My concern?
By the way, that's Graham Hill producing the show today, not Dennis Cox. So don't be surprised on that one. Graham, who's your concern?
My concern is the wide receiver group. Seems like there's still a lot of things to be proven outside of just Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson. The reason why this is a concern to me is I get they have a lot more additions this year, but so far it just feels like it's going to be the Adam Thielen story. At least what's coming out of training camp with some of the touchdown passes that Bryce Young has thrown. It's been to Adam Thielen again. Deontay Johnson has had a couple of reps in there, but I feel like Tommy Tremble still. There's still more to explore there. Xavier Legette, just because of the lack of practice time he's gotten. The wide receiver core, I feel like, still has a lot to be proven this season.
I think that's a trust thing. I think you have a trust issue with the Panthers because, and by the way, like this isn't therapy. I'm obviously joking a little bit, but I think the Panthers are selling us that their wide receiving core is much better, right? If you take last year's core and you make Adam Thielen, who was a number 1 last year, had over 100 catches. If you make him a number 2 wide receiver by putting Deontay Johnson in that 1 slot, you're supposed to have a massive improvement at number 1 and number 2 wide receiver. Xavier Legette, obviously somebody they loved enough to trade up into the first round to go get. If he can slide into that 3 or 4 spot, and if Jonathan Mingo develops and
Mingo too, yeah.
If he gets out from under the crushing weight of whatever that offense was last year, if he can step up his game, that could be an upgrade at wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, and wide receiver 4. The trust issue that I'm talking about is we haven't really seen it, right? Deontay Johnson's been in and out of the practice availability due to injuries throughout training camp. Xavier Legette, going back to the offseason, has been in and out of the lineup or the availability list based on injuries. Jonathan Mingo, we hear great things about him in training camp. Then he comes out in the first preseason game, has a drop on the first series that's right in his hands. Like there's Adam Thielen is Adam Thielen. We know what that is, but he's another year older. He's the oldest wide receiver in the NFL already. So it's like if you trust the Panthers, I don't think you're worried about the wide receivers. If you're like, I need to see it before I believe it, then I think you might be concerned about the wide receivers. So you're a little distrusting right now.
I mean, that's just where I stand with the Carolina Panthers. That's kind of where I've stood with them for the past 6 seasons. So until they show me something, it's nothing against the caliber players. I do believe they have a better group.
There's more talent there.
There's more talent there.
It's yet to be seen if they'll be more productive.
Correct. So that's my concern right now, the wide receiver group.
My confidence is
the wide receivers.
Well, it's not just. My confidence is Deontay Johnson and J.C. Horn as a unit. That's number 1 wide receiver and number 1 cornerback. If I want to feel good about the Panthers, if I want to feel optimistic about this season, go pull up the first edition of Camp Confidential. It's a YouTube series that the Panthers put out documenting the behind the scenes of their training camp. Go watch Camp Confidential. I think it was their first episode, might have been their second. They mic'd up both of them, J.C. Horn and Deontay Johnson, and they told the story of how they compete in camp. And it's talking trash, it's wanting to get the better of the other, and it's if you do get the better of the other, you darn sure let them know that you just won that rep. But they circle back during water breaks or when somebody else it's their turn up in one-on-ones, whatever it is, and they go, here's how I got my hands on you, right? Here's why I was able to do this. Here's how I got you on skates.
They break down each other's moves.
And they get each other better, right? So that is the definition of what coaches describe as competition making everyone better. Iron sharpens iron. It is, I'm going to beat you, then I'm going to make you better, then I'm going to beat you again, then I'm going to make you better, then I'm going to beat you again. And what that is unwittingly doing is actually making you better also, because each time you go up against them, you're going up against a better player. So those two guys, their interactions, it just makes me feel optimistic about the team because it's a healthy, competitive, intense, physical rivalry between offense and defense.
You're absolutely right. I mean, during that Camp Confidential episode, I loved how there was that one part where I think it was when they had their first scrimmage in Bank of America Stadium, and it was Deontay Johnson and J.C. Horn in one-on-one, and Deontay Johnson, I believe, beat Horn, and J.C. Horn went up to the ref and was like, hey, ref, he was holding Deontay Johnson. Nah, don't let him complain to you. Don't let him complain to you.
Exactly. And that's part of it, right? And looking to the ref to bail you out, that's not going to work in a trash talk situation, especially not in a camp situation. It's just it's what you look for. And it's funny. I was, obviously putting this together. I started thinking about it. Like looking back on my teammates, I played in college, which is not the NFL, but still, a lot of times, like now we're in our 30s, guys have gotten married, guys are getting married. When you see them post, like if, fringe friend, somebody a couple years older than me, a couple years younger than me, they get married, they post their wedding picture on like Instagram. A lot of times the receivers have defensive backs in their wedding party. Yeah. The defensive backs have receivers in their wedding party. Maybe even more so than like receivers having other receivers, because you get close with the guy that you compete against, and you end up being buddies for life. And I'm not saying Deontay Johnson and J.C. Horn are like going on vacation together in the offseason, but based on the way they were hanging out and getting each other better, if they both end up being Panthers long-term, or actually I think both of their contracts kind of up this offseason, or no, they picked up J.C. Horn's fifth-year option. But if they end up playing any long period of time together, I wouldn't be surprised that they end up buddies. So my confidence is Deontay Johnson and J.C. Horn together making each other better. What's your confidence?
My confidence, and I know this is going to sound like a chalk take, but to me, this is the biggest storyline of this season. And it's Bryce Young's growth from his rookie season to his second year in the NFL.
That's what you're confident is happening?
I'm confident that Bryce Young is growing underneath Dave Canales' offense. He's already shown improvement throughout training camp. You've even heard head coach Dave Canales speak of his growth, along with Bryce himself. But playing in this final preseason game, and I know that you kind of said that, don't expect any big plays. I would love to see the green light get thrown on once and Bryce Young go deep downfield. But I just feel like playing this final preseason game could help him build the key part of his confidence, which is developing the much-needed chemistry with his receivers heading to the regular season.
Do you know who does not agree with you? Steve in my email. I wasn't going to read this, but since you brought it up, I think it's kind of perfect. Steve, yesterday I talked about unleashing Bryce Young. I think Dave Canales, if he's hiding something, I think he's going to let Bryce Young have more autonomy, more control at the line of scrimmage, more leeway to ad-lib. And Steve found my email, sent me an email that I think goes against everything you just said about Bryce Young.
Okay.
Shall I read it?
Sure. Do we need to turn down the music, or can we leave it?
No, you can leave it up. I can speak loud.
How serious do we want to make this?
No, this is not. He's serious, but there is a comedic element to how over the top he goes. He started with "Love your show," so thank you very much, Steve. But let's call it what it is. NFL is not NCAA. Young will never make it as a long-term NFL starter. In my mind, I think Canales is playing the other dudes to get a gauge on who can be a little better. If you're in a restaurant and the tuna steak you came for is off the menu, you look at the other options. I saw zero growth by Young under different coaches. Please define success for the listeners. Is a 4-win team a success? That's 100% improvement. Will Tepper be okay with that? I doubt it. In year 3 under Young, which would be the next season, would 6 wins be acceptable, or 8? After 3 years ending with a losing record, not sure Tep has that amount of patience. Play young every down possible. He needs the growth with skills that aren't physical. There is no other height challenge QB I could compare him to. Work ethic, skills, leadership, overly competitive, etc. He has yet to show any superior skills. QBs from Alabama typically underperform. I'd like to be a fan, but don't see how it makes sense.
He's seen little improvement on Bryce Young
under different coaches.
Under different coaches. He's only had 2.
Well, I guess
just in the NFL.
You
Frank Wright, an interim coach.
Correct, and now Canales. But you could also say Thomas Brown as the play caller. He had back and forth play callers. I disagree with a lot of what he says. I mean, and by the way, I responded to him with my checklist of here are the ways that I disagree with you. And to his credit, Steve did respond with, thanks for the reply. Love your show. Congrats on the success. So thank you very much to Steve. I just think I bring that up not to be like, haha, you guys disagree. I bring that up to say, you saying your confidence is Bryce Young, I think he's a very polarizing player right now for the Panthers. There's nobody out there that's like, I think he's middle of the pack. It's either we saw flashes and Canales is about to open up the floodgates, or this is one of the worst picks ever. It's one of the worst trades ever. They should cut bait and figure out what they're going to do. Seems to be very little wait and see in Bryce Young.
Yeah, it's either not championship or bust, but potential or bust for Bryce Young.
Yep.
That's what you got from the fan
Reach
base.
the top of your potential or you're done to me. There you go. Those are our confidence and concerns. That's Cons and Cons here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Let's make our way over to North Carolina State football. By the way, we're going to be talking with Mike Glennon in just a little bit of time here, or airing the conversation from earlier. So you'll hear a lot of these names kind of a few times over the next half hour. Earlier today, UNC Football, they were 7 days away from their kickoff next Thursday. So is NC State. They just can't get away from each other. NC State, 7 days away from kickoff. So we're counting down their 7 most important people this season. Western Carolina next Thursday, by the way. Tune-up game.
Yep. Let's call it what it is.
Tennessee in week 2. So obviously the Western Carolina game is going to be about making sure you're in rhythm for Tennessee. I like the way they scheduled it. I have no complaints. But 7 players, not even players, 7 most important people for North Carolina State football because they're 7 days away from kickoff. We'll start with number 7, Anthony Belton. Anthony Belton is their stud left tackle. Could have gone pro last year, came back for this season, unfinished business, whatever you want to call it. The running game needs to be better. And there were some stats that I looked up earlier today. They have not been higher, meaning NC State, than 95th in all of FBS football. So there's like 130 teams. They have not been better than 95th in the last 6 years when it comes to yards before contact on designed runs, which means when they call a run play, their running backs are getting hit significantly earlier than they should. Further in the backfield, at the line of scrimmage, a yard past. They are not getting enough of a hole where the running back can get going, and then if the running back falls forward, gets the hard yards, runs through a tackle, then it's bonus, right? They have not been better than 95th. They've been as bad as 110th or 115th. I forget exactly what it was. That needs to be better. That's an offensive line thing. You may think Jordan Houston didn't live up to his potential as a running back. You may have thought that whatever. The running backs were not being given an advantageous position over the last 6 years to run the ball. Anthony Belton is the best of the offensive linemen, so he's kind of representing the O-line in this, but he's the 7th most important person for NC State. Could have been Zeke Correll, could have been a few of the other offensive linemen, but I used Belton because he's going to be the NFL guy. Number 6, most important person for NC State, Davin Vann. I keep joking about this, but it's like part of it's not a joke. The ACC is branding themselves as the conference of quarterbacks, and they have all these stats. 13 quarterbacks with at least I think it was 2,000 career passing yards 3,500 career passing yards and 20 touchdowns. They were all into it, right? These transfers are coming in. They're great. The returning quarterbacks, they're great. We're the conference of quarterbacks. Well, if I hear that, and I'm a defensive coordinator, I think, all right, if we're the conference of quarterbacks, we have to be the team of getting after the quarterback. We have to be the team of making these really good, really experienced quarterbacks rattled. And every defensive coordinator will tell you the way you make a good quarterback rattled is to hit him, and hit him hard, and hit him often, and speed up that internal alarm clock and make them look at the rush and get happy feet. Davin Vann, to me, is the best option on the defensive line for NC State to get pressure on the quarterback. Obviously, Tony Gibson can draw up blitzes. He can draw up zero blitzes. He's a bit of a maniac when it comes to being willing to send pressure. But if you can get pressure with just your down lineman, a.k.a. Davin Vann, that makes everybody uncomfortable. Number 5, I tried to be a little creative with this list. 7 most important people for NC State football this season. I'm going Wolfpack Tom.
All right.
Got to raise money. He's one of the leaders of the collective that is helping to fund the name, image, and likeness money for NC State. And we saw last year how much of a priority it was for Dave Doran. Seemingly after every big win, there was a comment about raising money. After they beat UNC.
The call to action.
There was the call to action. If 5,000 of you give $1,000, then we are set and we can go do this, that, and the third. Wolfpack Tom is a big part of that fundraising deal. You see him sitting courtside at basketball games with Casey Concepcion.
Savage Wolves.
It's State, especially because this is a year where they have some potential, and they are a win against Tennessee from really lighting that hype train, a win against Tennessee and Clemson away from pouring gasoline on that fire. If that happens, you need to capitalize the entire time. Doran and the crew, they need to focus on the football. They need somebody out there handout asking for the money when they have the success.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, if NC State has the success of winning an ACC championship, getting into the college football playoffs,
if that happens, the money is going to raise itself.
I was going to say the pitch is right there as far as, hey, look at what we were able to do this past season as far as how many transfers we brought in. Look how successful it was. Imagine what we can do next year with more money.
If you win an ACC championship and you make it to college football playoff, that'll fundraise itself. The thing I would be worried about is, say through 6 games you're 6-0 or 5-1, and you're ranked in the top 10, and everybody's really excited. You need to do as much as you can to capitalize right at that moment, because who knows? Bad injuries, right? Football's a funny sport. Something happens, you lose 3 down the stretch. You don't want to go, man, we really should ask for money before this little collapse, right? Because you could have gotten it mid-season. That's where Wolfpack Tom comes in. Every week, making sure you're taking care of action, taking care of the fundraising. Let's jump to number 4. NC State, 7 days away from kickoff. 7 most important people. Number 4, Sean Brown. He is replacing Peyton Wilson in more ways than one. Peyton Wilson, he's replacing him as a linebacker. Sean Brown was a safety last year, changing positions to step into Peyton Wilson's literal position on the defense. Then on top of that, he's a captain.
Yeah.
So
big shoes to fill.
Big shoes to fill. While making a position change, I'm looking at Sean Brown as number 4 because Peyton Wilson, I mean, I don't want to be like the guy that replaces Robert De Niro in a play, right? I don't know why that was Leo DiCaprio in a movie. I want to, if you're stepping into the shoes of someone great, it's going to be real tough.
I think the big thing for Sean Brown is that positional change from safety to linebacker just shows how much trust Dave Doran and defensive coordinator Tony Gibson, I gotta recognize him, man. I gotta give him his credit. Have in Sean Brown, because that's not easy to do, especially when you're when you're changing positions and trying to take over for one of the most dominant linebackers in the ACC, maybe the entire country last season.
Speaking of Dave Doran, 3rd most important person for NC State this season, the head coach Dave Doran. Culture building is traditionally a slow burn, right? Preheat the oven to 450, put it in the oven for 4 hours, and you gotta let it cook slowly, right? Building a culture in a program. So how do you get your culture fully bought into when you have new offensive linemen, new quarterback, new running back, new wide receiver, 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 new tight end, new linebacker, new defensive lineman, new secondary guy. How do you get, and by the way, that was just transferring a couple high school recruits. How do you get your culture bought into by week 1? You got to do it on rapid fire, right? The program takes on the style and personality of your head coach. He needs everybody bought in by week 1. That's pretty darn important, right? You won the transfer portal. Congratulations. How do you get that to the point where you're not only winning the transfer portal, but now they're cohesive as a unit? Head coach has to do a lot of that. Number 2, most important people for NC State this season, Casey Concepcion. Straw that stirs the drink. Don't forget about him because you brought in a bunch of transfers. He is the main character. He is the special. He is the one, if there's one, that a defense walks out and goes, there's number 10. He's the one that everybody's going to know where he is. Casey Concepcion, the star, he could be the star that stirs the drink. I was going to go with straw, but both work. And he's, best chance for a Biletnikoff Award, which goes to the best wide receiver in the country, all ACC, all those things. Number 1, though, I think Casey might be the best player on the offense. I think Grayson McCall is the most important. Not just being his hyper-efficient self, which is what he's been his entire career. Ton of passing yards, high completion percentage over 5 years at Coastal Carolina. But he needs to stay healthy. He has a history of some concussion stuff. You're going to hear us talk about it in the conversation coming up after the break with Mike Glennon. So, matter of fact, should we really sit here and talk about an NC State quarterback for 3 minutes when we know coming up after the break, you're going to hear about Grayson McCall from an NC State quarterback, Mike Glennon. He stopped by the studio earlier today. We're going to play that conversation for you coming up next. Mike Glennon, NC State quarterback, 10-year NFL veteran, next right here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
College football is back. Join 99.9 The Fan for an all-day Saturday triple header.
He's gone. There he goes. Through the line. He'll take it to the house, 90 yards.
Florida State and Georgia Tech at noon. Montana State and New Mexico at 4. And SMU and Nevada at 8. College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford, Amedios, and Roofworks.
Is your heating and air system ready for hot weather? Call Newcomb & Company today to schedule a routine maintenance and ensure your system is operating at peak performance. Become a Comfort Contract customer to receive priority service and a 15% discount on service calls and repairs for HVAC and plumbing work. Newcomb & Company has served the area as a Carrier Factory authorized dealer for more than 3 generations. Turn to the experts today. Call 919-862-3000 or find us at newcombandcompany.com. Newcomb & Company and Carrier. Your comfort is our business.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Lowe's knows saving pros time and money means getting the job done easier. Right now, get up to 50% off select composite decking and railing. Plus, get an extra 5% off every day on eligible purchases when you use your Lowe's Business Credit Card. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. 5% off are subject to credit approval. Exclusions and terms apply. See store at lowes.com/credit for details.
Did you know that driving under the influence of marijuana is illegal? Driving high will get you a DUI. And if you're wondering if law enforcement can tell you're driving high, well, everyone else can. Friends?
I can tell you drove high.
Parents?
I can tell when you drive high.
Relatives?
I can tell. You drove here high, didn't you?
So what makes you think law enforcement can't?
I can tell.
If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Joining us in studio, Mike Glennon, former NC State quarterback, 10-year NFL veteran, friend of the show. Matter of fact, such a friend of the show. He was at our numbers game live last night. We put him to the test on stage during the intermission leading into the finals. We had Mike up, and we gave him 10 of his former teammates. I tried to stick him with some toughies. He knew the jersey number. After a little thinking on a few, he knew the jersey number for all 10 of his former teammates. Pretty good showing, Mike.
10 for 10. I was pleased to get them all, but I'm still kicking myself. I got the Will Bauman. Kept saying 39. He was 36, but I can take kind of the reverse 6 and 9.
Punter,
and then
punter, right?
C.J. Wilson, I knew he was a low 20s number, but for whatever reason, 20 wasn't coming to me. But I was happy with 10 for 10. Wish I would have got it all on the first try, though.
I went C.J. Wilson for the interception to seal the Maryland comeback.
Exactly.
And that was the one, I guess, in pandemonium, you're not like, what number was he? But still, Mike Glennon here, so let's talk state football. As it sits right now, it is Thursday, August 22nd, a week from today. Next Thursday, State's going to be playing against Western Carolina. Obviously, with so many eyeballs on Tennessee in the second game, what are the challenges, if there are any, for the Western Carolina game?
I don't think there are many. I think this is, and when you have a veteran team like they do and a veteran quarterback, there's not too many kinks you're probably working through other than just new faces playing together for the first time. But, playing in scrimmages against the ones and honestly the twos is better competition for NC State. So I think they should come out ready to go. I'm excited to see how Grayson McCall plays, and I'm excited to see kind of some of the new faces on defense. How does Sean Brown look, replacing Peyton Wilson at that will linebacker, and some of the other new transfers in the secondary?
We've heard all offseason, and State fans know it, right? It's Grayson McCall incoming, Casey Concepcion returning, Noah Rogers, former 5-star in the transfer portal, Wesley Grimes, wide receiver transfer from Wake Forest, Justin Jolie, tight end from UConn, a couple of running backs from Duke and Oklahoma, like on and on and on and on. The common refrain is there's only one football. Maybe I'm nitpicking here, and you can just say, no, we don't worry about this. But in a game like Western Carolina, do you almost want to make sure everybody gets theirs? That way, against Tennessee, right, you're not going to be able to choose. You're not going to be able to say, like, hey, let's get Wesley Grimes a touchdown against Tennessee because it's the defense is going to make every decision for you, and that's the case. Against Western Carolina, is it almost like, let's leave the starters in until everybody gets one?
I think you probably go in starting the game not thinking about that at all, but if you do get off to a big lead before you probably plan on taking Grayson, it's like, let's get Noah a touch if he doesn't have one. Let's get Wesley a touch. Maybe not, a touchdown, just let's target him on this play. There's certain plays on the call sheet that they're the first read, and let's go with that just to – get them a feel for playing, especially a guy like Noah Rogers who hasn't played. I mean, he was redshirting at Ohio State. So you don't start the game that way, but if it's going the way that you expect it to, then at some point I think you may try to target a guy rather than just let the quarterback read it out.
Now, we'll talk to you before that Tennessee game, so kind of focusing on that Western Carolina game. There's a conversation that you and I didn't have to deal with in our playing careers. C.J. Bailey, the freshman, incoming true freshman quarterback for State, everyone's been very excited about him and for him and what he's been able to do at training camp. There's also Lex Thomas in that quarterback room that's been around for a little bit. If it does jump out 30 points at halftime, something along those lines, Bailey has 4 games that he can play and retain his red shirt. Do you want to save those 4 games, or do you throw him out there against Western Carolina knowing you might get him a full quarter of action and experience?
You throw him out for multiple reasons for me. One is you want to get him experience. Mm-hmm. You don't know how many of these games you'll have. Ideally for me, you would love to see NC State going at halftime about a 35-0 lead. Grayson McCall comes out for the first series just to get that feeling of coming out of the locker room at halftime. He plays a series, they get up 42-0, and then you let CJ take over for about a quarter and let Lex, finish the final, 2 drives or so in the fourth. So you want him to get experience. And then the other reason about red shirts nowadays is you don't know if he's going to be here for 4 or 5 years. I mean, that's just the reality is you might as well use him while you got him, because as much as I would love for him to play his whole career at NC State, the statistics show that majority of quarterbacks where they start is not where they finish anymore. So that's you just play him now to get the experience in case something happens to Grayson, and you might as well use him. And then at the end of the year, you hope that you don't cross that 4-game threshold with the future in mind.
Just to back up what Mike's saying, and it's Mike Glennon joining us in studio here on The Drive. I read an article recently, 192 FBS scholarship quarterbacks transferred just in the last year. So during the last school year, obviously the next one's starting up here. And the article, I think it was an athletic article, was estimating 25 to 30 incoming transfers will start in the Power 5, and another 25 to 30 will start in Group of 5. So that's 50 to 60 brand new starting quarterbacks. Obviously, stayed among them with Grayson McCall coming from Coastal Carolina. But you're probably right that it's, saving a year of eligibility with a freshman, you might be saving it for
another school.
For another school, like and heck, maybe another ACC school. Like we've seen the transfers happen in funny ways. The last week of training camp, it's the transition week, right? You're into game week. What are state players going like now after finally getting into a rhythm of training camp and no school and all of that, and now going into the season?
Yeah, I believe school started at NC State this week, and since the game is on a Thursday, today for them is almost like a Saturday. This is almost like what a game day is. So I don't know if they're going to do a final scrimmage today or if they're already kind of onto the regular game season. So I imagine tomorrow will be kind of maybe a bonus extra day, either tomorrow or Saturday, to kind of get ready, and then they'll just go into their normal game week routine where you're doing scout team, where it's offense and defense are on 2 different fields, and they're in full preparation for Western Carolina.
Or for Tennessee, but they're probably at least throwing some cards up with the scout team for Western Carolina for a little bit.
Yeah, I do imagine there might be a period a day where they're starting to work on Tennessee, but you know how coaches are. They're focused on one game at a time, but their sights are also in the future for Tennessee.
Similar transition, right? You obviously spent your time at NC State, ton of success there, and then went on to 10 years in the NFL. Bryce Young and the starters for the Carolina Panthers, just earlier today, Dave Canales revealed, the head coach, brand new head coach of the Panthers, announced that the starters are going to play in preseason week 3. I think it's a little unusual to play in week 3 and not 1 and 2, but they are going to get those jitters out of the way. What's going through a new offense? I wish this wasn't the case for you, but you spent some time with a lot of different offensive coordinators, a lot of different play callers. What do you want to kind of get out of the way in the preseason with a new offense being installed?
Yeah, I think it's just Bryce Young hearing Dave Canales call the play in his headset and what that timing is like. How quickly is he getting in the plays, breaking huddle, just all the pre-snap stuff is as important as what happens post-snap. But for them, this is their kind of one and only tune-up. And when the NFL dropped the preseason from 4 to 3 games, it was the philosophy kind of had changed. It used to be the first preseason game, the starters played a series or 2. The second, they played about a quarter. The third, they played the first half. And then the fourth, they were off. Now everyone's kind of finding their new way of going about it. But I think it is good for Bryce Young to get out there and play. And with the rest of the offense, it sounds like they've been kind of banged up at other positions, and maybe that's part of the reason why they've held him out in the past. But it'll be good for him to get out there and play with Dave Canales for the first time.
I'm going to nerd out here because you brought up hearing Dave Canales' voice in the headset. How different are guys, right? Because I never had the radio in my headset, just had signals coming in from the sideline. Are some guys like more chatty? Like is it more than just trips right, I-9, like are they giving you things?
For the most part, it is just the play call. Yep. At times, they may say, hey, look out for this. I know McVay is big on giving tips. I believe Josh McDaniels, I've heard, was the same way, that they would talk up until the point that the play clock cuts out. So for everyone at home, the headset doesn't go the whole time. It cuts off at 15 seconds.
15 seconds on the play clock.
On the play clock. So
league rule, you can't keep talking.
Sometimes, you may break the huddle and the coach may say a thing or two, but you could, analysis by paralysis. Sometimes you don't want to hear too much. On the more play call side, some coaches call it really fast, and others are a little bit slower and pronounce it and break up all the syllables. So that he's had plenty of that in practice. It gets amplified a little bit more when you're reading off of practice script and you already know what plays are coming, versus in the game you got to react to what happened the play before.
Now, I don't know if you have any kind of history with Dave Canales. He seems like he'd be chatty. He's like the most optimistic, most like, let's go, guys. Can you overtalk in those things?
You can. I mean, you don't want to have the quarterback overthinking up there. Like, you give him a tip, and the quarterback's looking for that tip, and that's all he's worried about rather than the play. But I think at times you can help the quarterback. It's a fine line between saying nothing, which honestly, I would say 90% of the time, it's just the play call. Yeah. And then occasionally you might throw in a little bit of a tip here, or, you got this alert, and then you tell them kind of, if they're playing, man, then we're going to alert it. Or if they're got a certain front, if it's an over front, we're going to run this. If it's an under front, we're going to run that.
How difficult is it? And this will be my final question here. When they say, like, hey, if that safety takes a step down, take the shot, to not take, like, for me, I'd be dropping back going, I'm going to unleash the cannon. Like, you just can't not think about it.
That makes me think of Mark Sanchez told me a story. So I was with Mark in Chicago. He said when he was with Rex Ryan at the Jets, they would code it with red or green, like a play call. Like, it was a wristband, but they would say red or green, and red meant be conservative and green meant, like, let it rip. So, you're going, you call a deep shot and he says red, like, you're already thinking check down.
Yeah.
And if it's green, it's like, well, I'm throwing this up no matter what, which Mark obviously went to the AFC Championship. I don't know if it was that year. So, but I don't know if I would like that or not. It changes your mindset, and you almost predetermine before the ball's even snapped.
If I get a green, I'm chucking it, and if it's picked, I'm going to the
right.
coach like, you gave me the
not
green
my problem.
light. That's you. Oh, that's fantastic. Mike, we appreciate you. As always, we'll check back in throughout the season. And everybody, tune into the Pack Therapy podcast. Myself and Mike on the podcast breaking down NC State football. New episode should be out here shortly. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Once again, Mike Glennon and myself from earlier today here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly. I can be more specific about that Pack Therapy podcast. It will be out on our YouTube and everywhere you find podcasts tomorrow at 10 a.m. And you just heard Mike. He is a wealth of knowledge. The 5 years at NC State, one of the more prolific statistical quarterbacks at NC State, 10 years in the NFL. If you have a question for Mike, comment it on that YouTube, okay? You can still listen to the podcast anywhere you find your podcast, whatever app you find, but we're going to look at the YouTube comments for questions that he'll answer during the next Pack Therapy pod. So you have to comment there. Even if you listen to it somewhere else, go find our YouTube page, 99.9 The Fan, find the Pack Therapy playlist, the episode that comes out tomorrow at 10. If you just comment with a question, you might hear it answered on the next Pack Therapy pod. So there you go. Now you know what to do. You just got to do it. The starting five is coming up next here on The Drive. But first, I'm Tim Donnelly here for Bailey's Fine Jewelry, specifically their Fox and Bailey watch shop. If you are a watch person like I am, right? You like to have a nice piece of style or just fine craftsmanship on your wrist, you need to know about Fox and Bailey Watch Shop. You probably already know about Fox and Bailey Watch Shop, located inside Bailey's Fine Jewelry at their Village District location, but you might not know everything new going on. Yes, they still have their pre-owned and vintage, the legendary watches that are very difficult to find. Yes, they still have their Omega Boutique, which is the second largest of its kind with some of the most iconic watches in history. But also, in their main showroom, they have recently debuted their Glashütte Original watch company. display case where you can purchase some of the coolest watches that are being made today. It's a German company. They've also premiered their Blancpain selection. Blancpain is the oldest surviving watchmaking brand in the world, founded in 1735 in Switzerland. So they're constantly over at Bailey's Fine Jewelry adding and creating new partnerships and bringing in new products so the watch nerds amongst us can be completely satisfied when you check out Bailey's Fine Jewelry, specifically Bailey's Fine Jewelry, which features their Fox & Bailey Watch Shop and the Omega Boutique, which are both located inside their Village District location in Raleigh. So check it out, and when you're there, taking in the ambiance, it's a really cool vibe. Make sure they know you heard about it right here from me, Tim, on 99.9 The Fan. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the starting five as promised, and the next key word in our fan football flyaway that could send you to Vegas. Stick around.
Hey Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. For all the inside information on your team, join me and my co-host WRAL TV's Chris Lee for our podcast, Panthers Playbook, presented by Carolina Ford Dealers. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on your Panthers, and we'll do it with access only we can provide. Locker room insight, exclusive interviews, and in-depth looks at every Panthers game. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcasts or watch on YouTube.
Where'd y'all go last week?
Well, we've been watching our budget.
So no going out?
Oh yeah, we're going out, just hitting all the specials. First, we hit the House of Hops. That's Jerome's favorite spot. Big savings on Monday and Wednesdays. Mix and match craft beer and 25% off on to-go growlers. Oh, it's a great place to relax.
You know, the Mix has some good specials, and they're across the street.
You have to check out their wine tastings once a month and their live music schedule, plus $5 draft beer on Thursdays. Then Saturday, it's salt and lime brunch, and Monday they have $5 margaritas.
Wait, what about Sharky's?
Oh, sweetie, you know Sharky's is special all the time.
So you're just going in a circle. House of Hops, Salt and Lime, the Mix, then Sharky's. House of Hops, Salt and Lime, the Mix, then Sharky's. Sounds like a vicious cycle.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a vicious cycle. More like a wonderful cycle.
Yeah, sounds like a cycle I need to be riding.
House of Hops, the Mix, Salt and Lime, and Sharky's. Definitely a cycle you should be riding. Hope to see you soon.
Is foot pain keeping you from living the life you love? Hi, it's Jonathan Cotton with the Good Feet Store, and life is too short to be living with foot, knee, or back pain. When all four arches in your feet are supported, the results can be amazing. Go to goodfeet.com to make your appointment today.
Total Wireless is made to totally keep up with you. We now have unlimited data that never slows you down. Covered by the Verizon 5G network. And for less than $30 a month, we make your phone your ride or die. Switch now and pick a free 5G phone with qualified plan purchase. And your fourth line at no additional cost. Visit your local Total Wireless store today. Total Wireless, we're totally with you. Actual speeds may vary by location. For data management practices, see TotalWireless.com.
Veterans, did you know VA mortgage rates have plummeted and you can now access up to 100% of your home's equity and turn that into cash right now? Hey, it's Roger Moore, President and CEO of Loan Pronto, announcing our VA Equity Advantage program. This VA offer can get you $50, $70, $100,000 cash out with no junk fees and no hassle, with APRs in the fives. You can pay off all those credit cards, personal loans, car loans, and get one easy-to-manage payment. Veterans we help save on average $850 per month. And listen, if you're a veteran with a current mortgage rate over 6.25%, we can do a streamlined refinance with no income verification and no appraisal, saving you hundreds a month. At Loan Pronto, we respect what you've done for our country, and we show it. Call now and ask about our special VA Equity Advantage program. 919-381-1760. 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. 919-381-1760.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBryan.com.
That's GotBryan.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Weather.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike Mays. Another comfortable day after a chilly start this morning. It'll be rather cool tonight. Low temperature about 57. Partly to mostly cloudy for your Friday. It's still comfortable. The high 83 with still low humidity. Warming up this weekend.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones closes the day down 177 points at 40,712. Market update brought to you by RDU Airport Authority. Fly Copa Airlines from RDU to Latin America and get 2 vacations in 1. Enjoy a stopover in Panama for up to 7 days with no extra airfare. Book your Panama stopover today at copa.com, COPA.com.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting 5.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. At some point during the starting 5, we'll hit you with the next keyword in our fan football flyaway. You're going to have to stay on your toes about it a little bit. But just know that by the end of the starting 5, you will have your next keyword in the fan football flyaway, which could be, if you get the keyword and you text it in, could be worth a free trip for 2 to Vegas for you. It's a pretty good way to, I don't know, make somebody's day, your day, and then somebody else, whoever you bring with you. So without further ado, let's jump into the starting 5, starting with number 5. I have to give a shout out to Preston, one of our listeners. Preston, if you're listening, congrats. So we've been talking about this Numbers Game Live event where we were getting all of the best Numbers Game contestants, the 5 for 5s over the last year, bringing them together, putting them on stage, executing a tournament to see who is the best Numbers Game player, and a well-earned, very, very solid, actually better than solid, an unbelievable performance from Preston earned him the title of Ultimate Numbers Game Champion. Shout out to Nas, who was second place, Casey and Dave, who finished, both lost in the semifinals, and everyone else from Sal in Morrisville to Micah, the hockey fan. We really got to see some of the characters, get to know the personalities, I should say, of some of our listeners. But I want to tell you this: we're going to play the Numbers Game again today, 5:30, like we always do. And we're going to play it every single day. We're going to give out cool prizes like we always do. There is another species of sports trivia fan that walks amongst us. It is unreal how good I would say the final 4 were. Perfect scores, 10 names in 10 minutes, no misses. Football, basketball, hockey. There's even at least one person chose baseball. I don't think we got a perfect score in baseball, but it was unbelievable, right? There were players that I was just like, oh yeah, I remember that guy, and they're like number 17. Holy cow! And the funny part was, right, because I was the host. I'm up front. I'm at the podium doing my Alex Trebek thing. As I would finish like a perfect score, I would look up and I would just see everyone in the stands eyeballs wide as saucer plates. And I'm like, okay, good. It's not just me that thought that was outlandish. It was unbelievable. The perfect scores. If I had the number, we'll play the Numbers Game at 5:30 today. You'll see how tough it is to get a perfect score. We had back to back perfect scores by 2 contestants trying to advance out of the semifinals. 5 for 5, 5 for 5, 5 for 5, 5 for 5, 5 for 5. That is unreal. So shout out to our listeners. I always say this, right? Because every once in a while, somebody, a friend will be like, do you ever do you have to dumb it down for fans? And I always go, no. Our listeners are super intelligent. They know ball. They know sports. I don't have to, explain the rules. They know them. And then we have a night like last night, and I'm like, I told you, our listeners are the smartest people alive. They might know sports better than I do. They definitely know jersey numbers better than I do.
It's up on YouTube, by the way.
Check
Numbers
it out
Game
on
Live
YouTube.
if you want to check it out.
You can play along. You can make it, I don't know, if it's almost the weekend, turn it into a drinking game. Drink responsibly. But there's you'll see. Just go to the Final Four. I know it ended up being like an hour and a half, I think. Skip across the video to the Final Four. I promise you will be flabbergasted. That's number 5. Let's jump to number 4.
We are the 4 horsemen. Woo!
Shout out to UNC Basketball. So UNC Basketball is a bit like you used to hear these back in the day. Barnstorming tours.
Yeah.
Where the national champion Kansas Jayhawks would win the national championship, and then they'd go play in a town near you.
Like the local high school all-stars or something.
Yeah, exactly, and they'd tour the country. You hear about it in baseball where like Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb I don't even know if they were playing at the same time, team up on the Ringling Brothers baseball team coming to your town to beat up on your local players. UNC's becoming that. If you go to UNC Basketball's Twitter right now, you'll see a tweet that says, "Come see us in MSG against UCLA." North Carolina basketball is going to go play in Madison Square Garden this year against one of the most storied programs in college basketball, UCLA. There's a graphic. They're excited.
And playing Dayton in the Maui Invitational.
Oh, we'll get to that. You scroll down a little bit, you see you in Charlotte in the Jumpman Classic against Florida.
Jumpman.
How appropriate, right? North Carolina in the Jumpman Classic. It's in Charlotte. Again, it's a neutral court game, but that's only going to be neutral court in name. If you're in Charlotte and you're Florida, you probably are aware that UNC is going to dominate the crowd. Then you scroll down a little further, and it says aloha to Maui for the Maui Invitational first round against Dayton. And they have the bracket there with the other teams. There's Auburn. I think there's a Michigan State maybe in there. All of those tweets were in the last 2 days.
And then you scroll down just a little bit further underneath the Maui Invitational, and it's Elliot Cadeau on a scooter.
True.
For his first day of class.
Cadeau's he's all over that thing. But I think it's becoming a new part of college basketball where I don't know if it's recruiting. I don't know if it's brand building where you're trying to hook your players up. I don't know if it's just they like going there. You have to hit like 3, 4, 5 unique, could be a iconic location like the Maui Invitational, like this. You get to go to Maui. Could be a iconic venue like MSG. Both Duke and UNC will be playing there this year. It's becoming like a crucial part. You can't be a blue blood if you're not crisscrossing the country and playing in these like dramatic venue games.
I think you're a little bit right on the recruiting aspect, just because Hubert Davis, during his time in the NBA, played for the Knicks. He gets to go back to New York and he gets to recruit a little bit up there.
Yeah.
And then also, North Carolina has the familiarity with the Maui Invitational. In fact, some of North Carolina's greatest seasons have come from them winning that tournament. But overall, and this even goes to the Jumpman Invitational, which is fairly new. This just started up like, I want to say 2 seasons ago. This is just North Carolina as a national brand in college basketball.
I mean, you want to make sure everybody says, oh, yeah, Michael Jordan went to UNC as many times as possible. Oh, yeah, those shoes, I bet you get some cool ones at UNC as many times as possible. So shout out to UNC. They're keeping up with the Joneses. They'll be in all those cool places. As number 4, let's jump to number 3.
1, 2, 3.
UNC football fans. Could Dyami Brown be a number 2 wide receiver for an NFL offense as soon as right now? Jahan Dotson, this news broke earlier today, so NFL fans pay attention. Jahan Dotson, former first-rounder of the Washington Commanders, was traded today along with a 5th-rounder. So Washington sent Dotson and a 5th-rounder to the Eagles in exchange for a 3rd-rounder and 2 7th-rounders. So that's the trade. Dotson and a 5th for a 3rd and 2 7ths. First of all, we could talk about that trade, which is fascinating inside the division, right? They are bailing on Dotson already. Had a good rookie year, a down second year, but the new coaching staff came in, and it appears very quickly. Dan Quinn and his offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury, said, don't need that guy. So they trade him. They trade him in division, which I would be insulted if I were Jahan Dotson. Because not only are they saying, we don't want you, they're saying, we're not afraid of playing against you twice a year. We're going to send you in the division to the Eagles. But that's not what we're talking about now. What we're talking about now is the former UNC Tar Heel, Dyami Brown, is now elevated, right? He's now the number. It's Terry McLaurin. He's the number 1 and has been for a while in Washington. They don't have Jahan Dotson was the number 2. They don't really have a number 2 option. Dyami Brown, Luke McCaffrey. There's Jamison Crowder, a Duke guy, but obviously a bit longer in the tooth. Dyami Brown is a guy that has flashed. His highlight, if you take his best 5 catches of his NFL career, they're pretty impressive. He has some deep touchdowns. He can beat a defense over the top. The problem is he's never really stepped into a role where he had the opportunity to make those plays consistently. At least not in the last probably 3 or 4 years. 3 years. I don't know how long he's been in the league. Dyami Brown is going to have that opportunity.
If only Sam Howell was still the quarterback, the Carolina connection could have continued.
Well, look at that. Go trade for Josh Downs. Go get the whole crew back together. What's Michael Carter doing? Javonte Williams is healthy now, right? Dyami Brown might be a number 2 wide receiver, and I wouldn't have predicted that 6 months ago. That's number 3. Let's jump to number 2.
Just the 2 of us.
Today's Thursday. Next Thursday. So 1 week from today, 7 days from today, both UNC and NC State football will open their seasons.
Say it again, Tim.
Real football between UNC and Minnesota on the road in the Land of Lakes, Land of 1,000 Lakes. Golden Gophers will be hosting. And NC State at home against Western Carolina. I mean, we'll be just less than a couple hours away from kickoff at this time 1 week from now.
There'll be people out at Carter Finley Stadium hopefully tailgating and listening to the show.
I hope we have a day like today. Weather-wise, I hope we get a day
below
like today.
57 degrees.
Just a nice day that you don't need to wear a jacket, but you never worry about sweating. Just a fantastic day for football.
Peter Millar's this early in August?
Why not?
This early in the football season?
Why not? Also, UNC at Minnesota, that's obviously a bigger game. NC State, you're going to expect to roll over Western Carolina. But let's hear from Dave Doran on Wolfpack Weekly about the camp that they've had this year for the Wolfpack ahead of that opener next week.
It's been a really good camp. It's a fun group to coach. They're very willing. They're guys that want to get better, like even the guys that are, players that have started a long time. It's a low ego group, and that makes it fun as a coach. There's good competition. Got to see some guys really improve during camp, and then there's a lot of new guys we're getting used to still as a coaching staff with the number of transfers we brought in. So it's been fun, man. I've really enjoyed this training camp and the way that we've set it up. I think giving the guys a good blend of time to recover, we've been able to keep the guys on the field.
And a lot of that, what he just said, it's going to be the same goal against Western Carolina. Keep them fresh, keep them on the field, don't get hurt. You want everybody to roll into that Tennessee game in week 2. For UNC, they open with their toughest non-conference game. Minnesota on the road, that's a Big Ten team. So not only, if you're a UNC fan, obviously you're tuned in, you're going to be locked in, you're going to be having a good time watching that game. You're going to see who the quarterback is that day, not getting a depth chart. They're just going to trot him out there with the first offense when you get the ball. You're going to be hoping that you receive the kick so you can learn who the quarterback is earlier, although you'll probably see in warm-ups. But the flip side of that, right, is this is a big game for the ACC. UNC versus Minnesota is ACC versus Big Ten. At the end of the year, when we are lobbying to get maybe a bubble team into the college football playoff, when everybody screams, but you play in the ACC, your strength of schedule is so weak, we want to be able to say we're 7-5 against the Big Ten, right? Or whatever, however many games they have. You want to say we're 4 games above 500 against the Big Ten. And that could be because UNC beats Minnesota. You need to take care of those games. So there's a lot on the line for a week, not even a week 0. It's like a week 0.5, right? Because it's on Thursday of week 1. There's a lot on the line for UNC.
Carolina versus Minnesota, part of the ACC Statement Series games, as I'm calling them. UNC versus Minnesota, State versus Tennessee, Clemson versus Georgia. I could even throw Miami versus Florida in there.
There it is. I like that. Statement Series?
Yeah.
It's like Stadium Series, but cooler.
And also just for North Carolina, you're right. It's their toughest non-conference opponent that they open the season with, but it's also just their toughest opponent they have for a while.
Exactly, because they don't open up their ACC schedule for a little bit.
You don't have to win pretty, but you want to win if you're North Carolina. But, I mean, if it comes down to a last-second field goal that you win it off of, I mean, your schedule is pretty open after that until, I'd say, Georgia Tech versus North Carolina on October 12th is going to be big just for, the storyline of it. But then Florida State November 2nd, that's really their next toughest challenge.
You know how I feel about that. Dom Toretto from the first Fast and the Furious. I don't care if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. Obviously, if you're on the bubble, you need some style points to get the committee on your side. You need to win a couple by a lot. But if you just don't lose a game, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning.
Well, I mean, you want to win convincingly, like you said, for the committee aspect of it. But I think just that's going to be a resume win in itself, just with that environment going up there and playing to open the season.
I know very little about Minnesota as a football culture, but I've heard we talked about this a few weeks ago. Maybe I've heard it's a decent little like environment. Like they'll get after you as a stadium if they need to. So we'll see. As number 2, let's jump to wait a second. It's time for our fan football flyaway keyword. The 5 o'clock keyword in our fan football flyaway, sponsored by the fabulous Mandalay Bay Hotel, Atlantic Spas and Billiards, Buffalo Brothers, and Newcomb & Company. The last chance for you to earn an entry that could possibly win you a trip for 2 to Vegas to see Carolina play football against the Silver and Black in September is fanatic. The keyword is fanatic. FANATIC. Text fanatic to 919-860-5326, and that'll be this hour's entry, the 5 o'clock entry. You have to do it by 6 o'clock, by the way. Fanatic is a keyword, expires at 6 o'clock. So text in fanatic to 919-860-5326, and you'll gain another entry if you've already done it. You could gain your first entry if you haven't, to possibly win you a trip for 2 to Vegas. I said this earlier, but I think it's a good way to frame it. How cool would that be to call someone up and say, you're going to Vegas and it's on me?
I mean, your whole trip's pretty much paid for. You have all the money in the world to hopefully not lose at the casinos.
But
double
it. It's possible.
Yeah, that's your fun money.
Always gamble responsibly. But there is a moment where you win. You then get to decide who you're going to call. Could be your significant other, a friend, a buddy, a parent, a kid, a coworker, somebody who you know just loves going to Vegas. Call them up and go, hey, what are you doing? I got a ticket for you. Don't worry about it. I'll cover everything. The room, some food, the flight. You get to be the big baller.
Go to the Sphere.
Go to
see Dead & Co.
Go, at least drive by it and look up and see what they're doing on the outside.
The Eagles residency's coming.
It's pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. And we could send you there, but you have to text in the keywords each hour, every hour from noon to 6 to maximize your entries. For this hour, the keyword is fanatic, FANATIC, to 919-860-5326, and then listen in for the next keyword coming up in the noon hour tomorrow. That'll be during the Adam Gold Show. The next keyword will be in the noon hour tomorrow. Now let's finish out the starting 5 with number 1.
Go one!
Panthers are playing their starters this week. How about it? It's preseason game 3. I wanted them to play the starters in preseason game 1. Dave Canales said, oh, no. I wanted them to play the starters in preseason game 2. Dave Canales said, not so fast.
You thought.
I wanted them to play the preseason or the starters in preseason game 3. Dave Canales finally said, all right, I'll do it.
Fine, I guess.
I wore him down. I don't know if I had anything to do with it. But although we do know some people from the Panthers do listen to the show, because when they put together their off-season behind-the-scenes stuff, they take clips from this show and put it on there. So it might just be someone in marketing, or in multimedia, but somebody is listening. Dave Canales plans to play the starters. Here he is telling the media earlier today.
That's my hope. My hope is to get the starters out there early in the game, get them some exposure, and the importance of it to me is how valuable the night before prep is. Waking up in the morning, we have a 1 o'clock kick. We got a lot of those this year. Mm-hmm. So just the body readiness, the plan behind, this camp was to practice early so that we can have that readiness.
Boom.
Make those 1 o'clock kickoffs mean more.
Just to get.
I'm kidding. That's not.
Well, what 10 of their 17 games are Sunday at 1 o'clock?
Oh, I felt like their entire schedule was 1 o'clock games.
Their entire schedule is Sunday games.
They have some 4:25 games.
They have 4:25, and they have one game in Germany, which is at like a 9 a.m.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I think 10 of their 17 games are Sunday at 1. So yeah, take advantage of it, right? Get to know what foods agree with your stomach. Like, pay attention to the details. A preseason game, if you're only going to play in one, particularly if you're only going to play in the last one, it is a dress rehearsal, right? It is one-time run-through for friends and family so you guys know everything that could go wrong, right? Oh, no, when I walk off the stage to the left, my costume change is on the right side, and you need to fix that, right? Oh, no, I woke up too late. You need to fix that. Oh, no, Dave Canales speaks too fast in the headset. You need to fix that. There is a certain level of my coach used to say the hay is in the barn. What that meant was, like, I would, on game day, I would try, because I could never sleep really well on game day, I would try to get in and watch a little bit extra film that day. And if coach saw me watching extra film, he would walk in, he'd go, the hay is in the barn, meaning the work is done, right? You either know it or you don't. You either are prepared enough or you're not. Cramming another 20 minutes of film 4 hours before, 5 hours, 6 hours before the game isn't going to help you, right? So just go relax. Go be with your teammates. Chill. Get off your feet. There is a certain element of that for the Panthers. And what I mean by that is you're not going to become a significantly better football player between now and week 1. Right? You're not going to redesign your playbook between now and week 1 if you go out there and it's not working, right? There's a certain element of the hay is in the barn. The work is done, but it's the fringe details that you can iron out, right? Making sure the mechanism, right? And what I say by the mechanism, it's like if a wide receiver coach has an idea for a play, you want him to approach Dave Canales when? Is it right after the previous play ends? Is it he only wants to be talked to when there's a break in the action? Is it can you jump on his headset at any time and just say, hey, try the play action deep ball? Like, what you need to work all of that out. That's not going to change you in any material way. It's not going to take a run game or a run first team to a pass first team. You're not making big changes. It's just making sure everybody knows their role. If an offensive lineman wants to talk to Dave Canales, can they? Or do they have to stay away? Do they go to their offensive line coach, who then maybe that person can talk to? You need to make it all work. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We had our numbers game live last night. We had all the perfect scores of the last year join us at the Hilton North Hills Raleigh for an awesome event. It was so awesome, we're pretty much guaranteed to do it again next year. But we need to get a couple more 5 for 5s. We need people to qualify. We need to find out who the best numbers game contestants are. So let's do it, right? Let's get back to playing our daily numbers game. Call 919-860-5326 for your chance to play the numbers game. And the prize today is a $25 gift card to Sharky's Place. Sharky's with back-to-back-to-back-to-back wins for best wings in the Triangle, voted best sports bar, quite possibly the best neighborhood bar in the world, Sharky's. Again, the number to call in if you want to play, if you want a chance at the Sharky's gift card, 919-860-5326. Numbers game coming up next.
The Adam Gold Show.
I know the joint practices were great. I know Bryce Young looked great. They beat the Jets, air quotes there. But we really need to see it all in a game. I understand the preseason is the preseason. It doesn't matter. But we need to see the operation look right during game action. There is no substitute for an actual game. Let's see Bryce, at least against Buffalo the last week of the preseason.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Are you ready to rule the realm? With the new Game of Thrones scratch-off from the North Carolina Education Lottery, you can. This epic game gives you the chance to win up to $200,000 instantly, or a trip to beautiful Napa Valley to play the Seven Kingdoms experience, where you could take home your share of up to $7 million in cash prizes. So treat yourself like royalty. Play the Game of Thrones scratch-off today, and let your reign begin. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds are 1 in 4.31. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
To make me feel better. All I wanna know is, can I get her? Juicy double patty, the McNuggets so crisp, and the fries go to yellow. Yeah, McDonald's don't miss. Yeah, order apple, the drive-through quick. Yeah, $5, that's a deal. Yeah, I got McDonald's money. I got McDonald's money.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
You go into your shower feeling... But as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day. And smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9313. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9313. That's 800-575-9313. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time to play the numbers game. And we're going to shake up the question that we asked to see who goes first. By the way, the prize is a $25 gift card to Sharky's. And the contestants both come from Mooresville. We have Evan in Mooresville and Jared in Mooresville on the line. So we'll call it the Battle for Mooresville. The last few days, inspired by the Little League World Series, we've been asking this question, right? Because when the Little League World Series kids go up to bat, they say, like, name Joe Schmo, favorite athlete, Derek Jeter, or whoever their favorite athlete is. So we've been asking, who's your favorite athlete when you were 12 years old, right? And then we pick our favorite out of the answers. But yesterday I was watching the Little League World Series, and I guess they're getting to the point now where kids have played on TV enough that it's like, all right, we've said who their favorite athlete is.
We got to change it up.
So the question they were asking was, what's your favorite emoji?
Interesting.
And then they showed the emoji. So, Graham, you're the judge on this one because the producer gets to make these decisions.
Okay.
We'll start with Evan in Mooresville. Evan in Mooresville, what is your favorite emoji when it comes to texting or whatever else?
I feel like I use the laughing emoji a lot. I guess it's a good spirit kind of thing.
Like the laughing, crying face thing?
Yeah, and I switched up with there's two of them. Now there's one where the head's tilted, so it kind of going a little.
Yeah, Evan, I was just about to say, are we doing just a normal laugh, or are we doing bawling our eyes out? Like, how funny are we talking?
I feel like if I do the side one, that means it's more funny.
Okay.
All right, there you go. We'll go to Jared in Mooresville. Jared, what is your favorite emoji? We're treating you like a Little League World Series contestant.
I would say my favorite is the guy that shrugs his shoulders, because I feel like that's how every conversation I have goes.
All right. Graham, you get to make the decision. Is it the head tilting laugh emoji or the shrug shoulders emoji?
I think I gotta go with the tilted head emoji, but only because there's so many ways that emoji can be used. It's not just the tilted head.
The laughing tilting head or the shrug with the head tilt?
Well, the laughing emoji.
Laughing. So Evan is the winner.
Evan is the winner.
All right, Jared. I like the shrug emoji. Every time I see it, I think of Jordan in whatever that was, Game 6 of the finals when he hit his 6-3 and shrugged. But Evan is the winner because Graham made the decision. So Evan, you get to go first. Jared, sit on the line. You'll have your chance. Evan, are you ready to roll?
Yes.
All right. The categories you get to choose from are NFL, which are all players whose first name starts with the letter R. NFL, names we never got to, which means these are from other categories, and the contestant never read them, so we threw them in a little hodgepodge. NBA, current players only, or NHL, Canes and Whalers only?
Let's go with the first NFL one.
All right. NFL, all players who's actually, I'm a little upset you just said the first one because you didn't have to go like I have to go. But we'll fight through that anyway. First names start with the letter R. I'll give you the team and the player. You give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. One pass if you need it. Any questions before we get started?
Nope.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Ricky Williams, Miami Dolphins.
34.
Correct. Randall Cobb, Green Bay Packers.
18.
Incorrect. Ray Lewis, Baltimore Ravens.
52.
Correct. Reggie Wayne, Indianapolis Colts.
87.
Correct. Ruben Mays, New Orleans Saints.
55.
Incorrect. Randall Cobb, Green Bay Packers.
13.
Incorrect. Ruben Mays, New Orleans Saints.
57.
Incorrect. Randall Cobb, Green Bay Packers.
19.
You know what? We're not starting our new season of the numbers game off perfectly here. My notes say Randall Cobb 88 with the Packers. I knew that was not correct. You said 18 first of all, and that is correct. So
okay.
We'll give you 4, and a tie goes to you already. So it's a good number. You got him right. You weren't going to get Ruben Mays even with a bunch more guesses, correct?
Yeah, what position? I was kind of going like linebacker or something, so I was in the 50s.
He's number 36. The reason why I was confident in saying you wouldn't have gotten him because I don't even know who Ruben Mays is. But that's number 36. So you got 4 correct. Randall Cobb did wear 18. I think there was a running back for them that wore 88 for a while. He started off as a wide receiver. I'm blanking on his name, though, so I think they got confused there. But 4 correct, solid number, very good start. We'll keep you on hold and see if it holds up.
Awesome, thanks.
That brings us to Jared in Mooresville. Jared, are you there?
Yeah.
All right. The battle for Mooresville continues. The categories you have remaining are NFL, names we never got to read in other categories, NBA, current players only, or NHL, Canes and Whalers only.
Let's go NHL, Canes and Whalers.
All right. I'll give you the team and the player. You give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. You have 30 seconds on the clock. You need 5 for the win. I will say the team in this category, even though we know the team, just to keep it even with the other categories. Do you have any questions before we get started?
Nope.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Jordan Stahl, Carolina Hurricanes.
17.
Incorrect. Martin Necas, Carolina Hurricanes.
88.
Correct. Tim Gleason, Carolina Hurricanes.
14.
Incorrect. Jordan Stahl, Carolina Hurricanes.
11.
Correct. Anton Babchuk, Carolina Hurricanes.
43.
Incorrect. Tim Gleason, Carolina Hurricanes.
10.
Incorrect. Anton Babchuk, Carolina Hurricanes.
28.
Incorrect. Tim Gleason, Carolina Hurricanes. You put up a good effort. You got the 2 recent guys, and Stahl with 11 and Necas with 88. Tim Gleason with the Canes wore number 6, number 8, and number 42. Would have accepted any of those. Babchuk with the Canes. It's funny, you said 43 right out the gate. We would have accepted 48 or 33. So you kind of mixed them there. He wore both with the Canes. 2, it's a good number, but it is not enough for the win. So thank you for playing. Hopefully you had a good time.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Of course. That means Evan in Mooresville, you are the winner, and our snafu on Randall Cobb didn't cost you, so congratulations.
Thank you.
You get the Sharkies gift card, and all you have to do is hang on the line and give a little information to Graham. But congratulations.
Thanks so much.
There's the numbers game, everybody. By the way, the winner right there did just win a Sharkies Place gift card, $25. Sharkies with back-to-back-to-back-to-back wins for best wings in the Triangle. Voted best sports bar, quite possibly the best neighborhood bar in the world. Sharkies. Speaking of Sharkies, Randy was at the event last night, the owner of Sharkies. If you're ever in Sharkies and you do get a chance to meet Randy, ask him for some of the stories, man. He played football back in college. Some of his college buddies have done some really cool stuff in the sports world. I'm not going to sit here and tell his stories for him, but I'll just tell you this. He is pretty much referenced all over a book that's being turned into a movie based on his sports history. So it was fun to not only talk wings and everything with Randy from Sharkies, but also hear some of his sports-related stories, which I am always a sucker for. Also, just to make sure everybody's aware, there's still 22 minutes left to get in your fan football flyaway keyword for this hour. The keyword is fanatic, FANATIC. Text it into 919-860-5326, and that text will get you an entry into the Fan Football Flyaway and could win you a trip for two to Vegas, where you'll see Carolina play football against the Silver and Black, where you will get the flights, the room, the whole shebang. But each hour from noon to 6, weekdays here on 99.9 The Fan, you get a new opportunity to gain an entry. For this hour, text in Fanatic to 919-860-5326, and then listen for the next keyword. It'll be tomorrow in the noon hour during the Adam Gold Show here on 99.9 The Fan. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, there is only 14 days till real NFL football. We look ahead coming up. Pack Therapy is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. It's Tim Donnelly from 99.9 The Fan alongside legendary Wolfpack play caller Mike Glennon.
Every episode of Pack Therapy is your chance to get dialed in with inside information on your team.
We'll set you up for every Wolfpack game all season long.
And we'll break down every contest, what went right and what could have worked better.
Plus, special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcasts or watch on YouTube.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
This is Gordon Miller from Miller Lending and Carey. Date the rate, marry the house. A phrase often used by realtors to describe the difference between keeping your new forever home as opposed to your mortgage rate, which you'll only keep until something better comes along, kind of like speed dating. A recent study by the Wall Street Journal further supports this notion by finding the average life of a loan to be less than 4 years. Their suggestion? Find a no-fee loan, which is exactly what Miller Lending has been telling you since 1996. With no closing costs of any kind, you can simply close on today's rates and refinance each time something better comes along. So while builders promote buy-downs with over $10,000 in closing costs, or lenders advertise crazy low rates with even more, Miller Lending continues to be the leader in the no-cost mortgage. So before you throw away thousands of needless fees, pick up the phone and call your local neighborhood lender, Miller Lending and Carey, 919-447-3377, or simply apply online at millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 250-2146.
How was everyone's first day at the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club?
Oh, me? I set the high score in mini golf.
I tried a new food called wasabi.
Oh, I did absolutely nothing. It was amazing.
There's no wrong way to be a winner. New $50,000 payout and $1 Million Cash Word are here. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.54 to 3.58. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
We buy any car.
Why sell your car at WeBuyAnyCar.com? Because selling it yourself can be, well, you know.
Okay, I'll give you half now.
And?
No, and just half.
What? Avoid the hassle. Come to We Buy Any Car instead. Get in, get out, and get paid at a fair price.
Yeah, I can't do half. I could probably bump it up to like 50%.
Just go.
Okay.
Get your free online valuation now at
We Buy Any Car.
It's the summer of pink, and nobody's wearing it better than the gentlemen of Men Wear Pink. Campaign ambassadors and local leaders fundraising to support American Cancer Society's breast cancer initiatives. Check out their style with apparel from Crabtree retailers, including Allen Edmonds, Coach, Lululemon, Tickners, and local favorites at the Men Wear Pink VIP Soiree and Fashion Show this Saturday. The event is free, and donations from the silent auction benefit the American Cancer Society. Join the fun this Saturday from 2 to 4 at Crabtree's lower-level promotional court.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We haven't...
What is going on? You look very enticed by something on your computer screen.
No, it's not on my computer screen. We haven't talked about your music selection yet today, which we normally do when Graham hosts or when Graham produces the show. He chooses the rejoin music. There's usually something that piques my fancy. And nothing really caught me today until
until Tears for Fears.
Until that one right there. It's just it made me giggle. Graham
it's a
actually,
banger.
Let's let some people know about Graham. I've jokingly called Graham the oldest music taste for a 25-year-old of any 25-year-old in the world.
Mm-hmm. I take pride in it.
And it's partially because of the rejoin music, right? He comes back with classic rock. He comes back with stuff from the 90s, which, when were you born? Like 90?
98.
Yeah, exactly.
The peak of like Matchbox 20 and the Goo Goo Dolls.
And he knows that, right? Who knows who the biggest, or like, not even the biggest. Like Matchbox 20 was a solid band, but they weren't the biggest band the year you were born, and you know that. So anyway, with that as the background, what concert did you see last night?
Last night I was at, who was it? John White, Foreigner, and Styx at Walnut Creek.
25-year-old goes to see Foreigner and
My
Styx.
second time seeing Foreigner, by the way.
And today, right, we're in the office, and everyone's asking him about the concert. Oh, how was Foreigner? How was Styx? And we learned that I'm going to, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Graham, but I'm going to do my impression of what Graham said. Oh, Foreigner was great, right? Oh, I had to wait all the way to the end of the set to hear the song. I didn't make it all the way through Styx. I left after 3 songs because the lights were just, there was too much. They had the keyboard doing the thing on the
spinneroonie.
The spinneroonie on stage, and it was just too much.
I couldn't figure out who the lead singer was.
I was tired, so I went home. End of my impression. Is that not the oldest thing a 25-year-old could possibly say? I didn't make it through the Foreigner and the Styx concert because the lights were too bright, the keyboardist was doing the spinneroonie, and I was tired.
Well, also being the young, responsible adult that I am, I realized that I had to be in the office this morning at 7 a.m. to do Next Up with Paul Ihanner, which you can listen to every morning right here on 99.9 The Fan.
There you go. Company man. There are some 25-year-olds that would go to work tired the next day, but not you.
I still came to work tired.
Well, that's because you stayed 3 songs into Styx. Didn't even hear Come Sail Away.
Nope. I checked the set list after the 3rd song. I think like after Mr. Illusion, I was like, all right, how far away are we from Mr. Roboto? I was like, crap, that's the song they come back on after their break?
That's funny.
It's like, can't do it.
So there we go. So it just keeps being proven correctly. It started as a joke that Graham was the oldest music taste for a 25-year-old. Now it's proving truer and truer.
And hey, If you see me at Creed in a couple of weeks, buy me a beer.
Creed, with arms wide open.
Exactly. Hold me now.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Do you know that there's only 2 weeks until Ravens at Chiefs open up the NFL season?
I mean, this is just starting to become my favorite time of the year.
We are 7 days from college football in the Triangle. We are 2 days from college football overall. We are 2 weeks, 14 days until Ravens at Chiefs. And that means we're to the point where coaches are about to make their money. Dave Canales for the Panthers is about to make his money. After this weekend, right, the final preseason game, it's really the end of team prep and you advance to game prep. What I mean by that is, up to this point, Dave Canales and the coaches for the Panthers, it's been all about player development. It's been all about evaluation. It's been all about culture setting, playbook design, playbook installation. This is all stuff that focuses on the Panthers, right? You assemble your roster, you get everybody on the same page, you explain to them the expectations, you find the best role for each of your players. It's all been about the Panthers. After this weekend, it turns towards your opponent, right? You start running against the scout team. You start prepping. Coaches start figuring out what tells the opposing team has. When they're in this coverage, they're vulnerable against this play. How they tip a blitz when they do this. You start diving into game prep, and I would argue that's the biggest way that a coach can impact winning is in the game plan and in the scheming for opportunities against each opponent. This is the biggest test for Dave Canales. Can you win the chess match against the Saints that starts after this weekend? 14 days to when there's NFL football on the field that counts. After this weekend, the chess match starts, right? And it's not just how do we take advantage of them? It's what are they going to do to take advantage of us? Right? Somebody has to be watching what Dave Canales' offense did in Tampa last year and have to be thinking, all right, how will the Saints attack that offense? Go back and watch the Saints against Tampa last year. You have to dive into all of that, and then it becomes, when do we plan to call each play? It becomes, do we need to install any special plays, meaning plays that aren't in our playbook traditionally, but we feel will work against the Saints? This is where coaches make their money. Sure, development matters. And yes, culture matters. And yes, the overall playbook design matters. And everything they've been doing through training camp matters. But it doesn't matter if you can't draw up a good game plan. Right? You could have the best plays in the world. If you call them at the wrong times, they aren't going to work. You know, you think of the best coaches you've ever seen, right? Belichick jumps to the mind. What is Belichick known for? His defense is multiple. And what that means is he might blitz every play week 1. He might sit back in coverage every play week 2. Week 3, he's going to have 2 high safeties. Week 4, he's going to have a bear front. Like, he's going to mix up his defenses based on what he sees out of the opposing team. Being able to do that, and maybe not to that level, right? Because there's also been great coaches that simply say, you know, hey, we run the Tampa 2, and we just do it great. And if you have Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp, you can make it happen. There's multiple ways to skin a cat, but making the decision on which way you're going to skin the cat is one of the more impressive and important things a coach, a head coach, a coordinator can do. And we're about to make that switch. Do you know how much game plan prep you put into preseason game 2? None. You're not watching film and running the scout team to be like, hey, this is what who they played. The Jets are going to give us. No, because guess what? You're going up against the Jets scout team by about halfway through the second quarter. Like, you're out there focused on you. After this weekend, you're it's already happened for the Ravens and Chiefs, I'm sure. They're looking ahead, getting ready to play each other in that season opening game. And yes, it's just 1 out of 17 games, but it's important. I mean, if you're the Ravens and the Chiefs, it's real important. You're both staring at seeding at the top of the AFC, right? You have high expectations for this year. Between the two quarterbacks that are going to be in that opening game, Ravens at Chiefs, there's 4 MVPs. If you're the Panthers, how great would a good showing week 1 feel, and how much good would it do for the attitude in that building? It's been a long time since they've been undefeated, which they would be if they get a win in that first game. I'm looking for Dave Canales to carry his weight in that opening game, starting about 3 days from now. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we wrap up here, I'm Tim Donnelly for Capital Financial Advisory Group, including Coach Pete. I'm telling you, this is important to think about when it comes to your retirement planning. You are different than just about everybody else. You are a special, unique individual. The reason why I'm saying that is because why would you go to so many of the other retirement planners, so many of the other financial service companies, and get the boilerplate, right? Get the one size fits all. Here you go. Here's what we do. This is how we plan to have you ready for retirement. And it's like just a copy and paste with their name crossed out, someone else's name crossed out, and your name written in there. What they do at Capital Financial Advisory is the exact opposite. Everything is your very own. It is total, and it is completely customized. Because my financial situation is different than your financial situation. Your financial situation is different than your neighbors, different than your kids' teachers, different than your bosses, different than your neighbor with no kids, if you do have kids. Your financial situations are different. So get a retirement plan that is custom-made to your wants and needs. That's what happens at Capital Financial Advisory Group. Say, hey, this is my lifestyle. I want to keep it up in retirement. Cool. This is what we got to do. This is how much money I've saved up. Cool. This is how we can make it work. This is my salary. This is my savings. This is how much I spend. You are wildly unique. So get a wildly unique retirement plan from Capital Financial and Coach Pete. Coach Pete and the fiduciary planning team at Capital Financial can help you build that plan free of charge. You just have to make sure they know we sent you. Give them a call, 800-691-3215. Said I heard about it from Tim. You'll also get one of their box sets, 7 baby steps, for free. But again, that's only if you tell them I sent you. 800-691-3215. Or you can text Tim, T-I-M, to 600-700. That's Tim to 600-700. They'll know why you're texting. It's about going to do it for us here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly. One more time, you have about 5 minutes to text in the word fanatic to 919-860-5326 before the end of the hour to get a entry into our fan football flyaway, which could win you a trip for 2 to Vegas. Again, the keyword is fanatic. 919-860-5326. Text it in right now, or at least in the next 4 minutes. Graham, with the world's oldest 25-year-old musical taste, will play us out here with a little Come Sail Away.
I know I'm the captain.
We do have Overdrive coming up after this. We're going to pick our Heisman Trophy picks, like our predictions. So that's coming up next. Enjoy that, and a Mike Glennon interview from earlier today as well. Until tomorrow, we'll be back to wrap up the show. Have a great night, everybody.
Move your sports day forward.
There's like